England have got themselves up to a competitive total without doubt. I think if they'd have been bowled out for 150, which it looked like they weren't even going to get anywhere near that at one stage until the crucial partnership with Catherine Brunt and Kate Cross, and then Catherine Brunt and Tash Farrant had a little cameo at the end. So they've done incredibly well to get themselves up to 178. So New Zealand need 179 to win. England will know that they're vulnerable, New Zealand, in their middle order. They'll know a few quick wickets, put the pressure on New Zealand, and you never know what can happen.
Well, indeed. And they'll think 1 wicket in the first couple of overs, 2 wickets early, and suddenly the nerves of chasing a low total is never easy.
It's never easy, and they could find themselves in a similar position that England were when they were 40 for 5 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I think 78 for 7 we just heard from Phil Long, which is a little bit worrying. In some ways, will there be part, and this is an odd thing to say, but part of Lisa Kiteley's thinking that'll be, if England don't get out of this, it may not be the worst thing, just as a bit of a lesson. Here comes Catherine Brunt to bowl to Suzie Bates, left alone outside the off stump, and we're up and running in the run chase. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do know what you mean, but I think every head coach is,
of course,
critiqued on their win performance. I'm not sure she's actively wanting England to lose.
No, I know what you mean. As soon as I said that, I sort of had phrased it completely wrong. I guess what I'm saying is that in the fullness of time, you could look back on a game and think, do you know what, actually we didn't paper over the cracks, and that really taught us something.
Yeah, of course.
In comes Brunt, bowling to Bates, who plays with a cross bat out towards mid-on.
I think what England will learn is that they have to build partnerships, and we've seen time and time again throughout this series that they keep losing wickets at crucial times, and you have to bat time in 50 over cricket. Yes, we've come off a long summer of a lot of T20s and the 100, and batters are in different frames of mind, but you've got to go out there and build partnerships.
179 is the target, only 3.6 and over for New Zealand. As there's a swing from Bates that goes under the bat, keeps a little bit low and goes through to Amy Jones behind the stumps.
Frames of mind isn't a saying, is it? It's mind.
Frame of mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say?
I tend to switch off.
You pluralise both bits.
Yeah,
you
said frames of mind.
Frames of minds.
Well, there's a lot of minds to frame.
Yes. A lot of frames to put around those minds. And we've had a tweet in.
Oh no.
This makes me laugh. Here comes Brunt again, bowling to Bates, clipping the ball into the leg side, straight to mid-wicket. And as she did in the first game of the series, Brunt is bowling very economically at the start of this innings. And the tweet said this from Tom Canning. He said, "I've had TMS on the radio for the last 2 weeks or so in my garage bunker. I couldn't tell you any of the scores, who's played, or what even they're playing. But it is unarguably the greatest show on the BBC, and I love it."
I love that.
Lovely to have you with us, Tom. Here comes Catherine Brunt, bowling to Bates, who's forward, struck on the pad. Big appeal for LBW. Umpire Redfern says no. She was a long way forward, and here comes the conversation between captain, keeper, and bowler as to whether they want to use a review and try and get that big fish in the first over. Yes, they're going to have a look. 2 seconds left on the timer, and they will go upstairs to David Milnes in the TV umpire's box.
I think on first look, when you see it live, that doesn't look out, but you never know. It could slightly be going down, but we're going to see the replay on the big screen here at Leicester. But my first thought is not out.
She comes a long way forward, and it's going to be pretty tight. It's not going over.
It can't be going over, surely.
Bates has come forward. Is there any inside edge? We can see leg stump, so she is quite a far way over too. And it's cannoned straight into the pads. I think this might be quite close out.
Closer than we thought. Phil Long reckons it's out.
Oh, umpire Long says out. Impact, umpire's call. Wicket's hitting, but... Well, hold on a minute. Impact, umpire's call. So she's not out.
But she's walking off.
England is celebrating. She's walking off. You're not out.
So it was not out because she was so far down the wicket. So it's umpire's call.
It's umpire's call.
It was clattering the middle of middle.
What? We hear
Just heard somebody say what? I think that was Catherine Brunt.
Yeah, umpire Sue Redfern stood there like we did and went, "Hold on, where are you off to, Susie? Come back."
Well, that's the point. She came so far. I mean, she's very out in the sense that the ball is hitting the middle of middle, but she's so far down the pitch that the margin of error determined by the fact that she's come so far forward and how far the ball has then got to travel means that she's not out, despite thinking she was. England celebrating.
I mean, normally if it's umpire's call, the ball's just clipping, isn't it? Not hitting the middle stump.
But it's umpire's call for impact, and Bates survives. What a bizarre
remarkable
moment.
That was one of the stranger things I've witnessed on a cricket field, but umpire Sue Redfern, she gets the decision right somehow.
I think I've never seen a decision be as wrong but right.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because it was very out, except it was properly. That was properly Schrodinger's wicket. That wasn't it? It was both out and not out at the same time.
Well, Suzie Bates gets a life.
She does. In comes Brunt, keeper standing up to the stumps to prevent the advance down the track, and it is a maiden first up, so 0 New Zealand, and Brunt is bristling. Phil Long.
No, she is bristling, and when she's bristling, she's got the Brunt strut, I think I'd call it, and she was strutting there. And yeah, the Suzie Bates reminded me of a game when you're batting and you think, gosh, this is all a bit quick and and she wanted to be away, didn't she, Suzie Bates? But she's not, and might that be a little turning point in this game?
Well, it could be. We're going to see Tash Farrant having a bowl.
Going to see Tash Farrant opening the bowling. I would have liked to have seen Kate Cross open the bowling.
I know you would.
But she has done an excellent job bowling first change for England throughout this series. A new role for her.
And fair to say that Tash Farrant probably gets a little more movement than Kate Cross.
Yeah, she swings the ball, so you've got to use Tash when the ball is new, when the ball's going to swing towards the right-hander, so the right call.
And so just a little suggestion early on of how England are feeling. There was such energy in that huddle and such excitement when they thought they got that wicket, but it was not the breakthrough that they were looking for. There's still that slip, but the keeper is standing up to the stumps as Lauren Down on strike faces Tash Farrant and defends into the offside, fielded by Dunkley in the covers.
Now I have got news for you.
Talk to me.
I went on the hunt for an ice cream van.
Yes.
And I couldn't find one.
No.
And while I was on the hunt for an ice cream van, I got asked to sign someone's wedding invitation.
Really?
Because he's getting married in January or February.
Oh, wait a minute. Farrant bowls, run into the offside as far as backward point. There's no run. But why? So why is he carrying around wedding invites?
I don't know if he was inviting me to the wedding, but I signed it and gave it him back.
So what you're saying is someone just handed you a bit of paper, they were actually inviting you to their wedding, and you just signed it and gave it back.
What a diva.
So you just assume every time. So yeah, you're in the garage buying fuel, they hand you the receipt, and they're like, yeah. To who? Full, straight from Farrant, offended.
No, he tweeted me asking if I could sign his wedding invite, to which I politely ignored, thinking, well, I might bump into him at the cricket ground. And turns out we did bump into each other. He said, will you sign it? I think they're called Becky and Pete. And so I said, to Becky and Pete, happy wedding day. Lots of love, Alex.
What? Farrant, bowling, driven away, lovely piece of timing. And that will bring the first runs and indeed the first boundary of New Zealand's run chase. Lauren Down smacking the ball through the covers. Lovely piece of crisp timing. And New Zealand 4 without loss.
Yeah, Tash Farrant just getting her length wrong there, bowling too full to down. She was able to drive that through the covers. She just hung back ever so slightly, played it late, just in front of backward point. Gets the boundary.
So, are you sure it wasn't a wedding certificate? Have you come back married?
Oh no.
Farrant bowling again, it's into the offside, drops just short of Beaumont, who tumbles to her right at backward point, and there is no run.
I mean, of everybody that's part of the TMS crew who's likely to accidentally get married, it's probably me.
Yeah, I mean, of people to do a lap of the ground and find themselves married, I am thinking I wouldn't need two guesses. In comes Farrant, deep in the crease. Lauren Down defends as far as Dunkley, and the over concludes 4 without loss. But we think this is Becky and Pete.
I think so, yeah.
In January
or February.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if they're getting married here at Grace Road.
Hope not.
Why?
What?
Lot of space.
They've not got a function room.
Oh yeah, but January, February, you could put a big marquee on the outfield.
In the snow?
Yeah, you could have a net.
I'm definitely not getting married in the snow.
Why not?
Well, I'm not getting married.
Yeah.
I'm already married.
Whoa, hold on a minute. You say that.
If you get married in the snow, you do have amazing wedding pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, not for me. I get cold easily.
Here comes Catherine Brunt, start of the third over, bowling to Bates, who's driving up as far as Winfield Hill at mid-on. So you wouldn't want one of those sort of New Year's Eve weddings?
No, I think I'm a beach girl.
Just for those making a note.
Tall, dark, handsome, please.
You called? New Zealand 4 without loss. Here comes Catherine Brunt bowling to Suzie Bates, defended into the offside. We see Maya Boucher running down in front of us as part of the England squad. She's been brought in midway through this series. Phil?
Suzie Bates averages just a smidgen under 42 in women's ODIs, but against England, in England, her average comes right down to 24.25.
Great stat. That is why you are here.
Here, go on. No, hold on, wait. Here comes Brunt, bowling to Bates, who drives. That's a lovely shot, crisply down the ground and past the fielder at mid-on for 4 runs. That is a really fine piece of timing from the former captain, Suzie Bates. 8 without loss.
I was about to say Suzie Bates has to try and find something here, a way of scoring off Catherine Brunt, because although Catherine is a brilliant bowler, Suzie Bates is a world-class batter. And throughout the series, Catherine Brunt's just been able to bowl at the New Zealand batters and just build pressure. But Suzie Bates there playing nicely high up the ground, and that's the way you need to go against Catherine Brunt.
Brunt moving in again. And Bates once more with a big stride forward, this time defensively, pushes back as far as Brunt, who I think feels a little frustrated at not to have got the wicket of Bates in that first over. On review, it was going on to hit according to ball tracking, but she'd come so far down the track that it was deemed to be umpire's call for impact in a slightly surreal moment. Here comes Brunt again, moving in, and there's a lovely moment as she aborts her approach, and as she does so, Bates starts charging down the track to meet her.
They were both just charging at each other there.
They were. It was like a sort of jousting.
I think I'm backing Brunt.
Yes, I think I'm with you. What's that score? 8 without loss. 179 is the target. Now, it's quite a dramatic moment at Gloucestershire today. In comes Brunt, bowling to Bates, who works into the leg side, and there's no run, fielded at mid-wicket. Did you see the air ambulance landed during the game?
Yeah, 5 balls in.
Yeah.
Do we know what went on?
No, we don't, but a medical emergency at Gloucestershire. So fingers crossed all is okay. But a hugely dramatic moment. Air ambulance landing in the middle of play.
Air ambulance stops play. Do you think they'll be behind the over rate from the off then?
Probably. That's a good point. Yeah. But then I think you might get dispensation for...
Well, I'd like to think so.
You'd hope so. Brunt moves in to bowl to Bates, who is struck on the pad. There's an appeal for LBW, which is more enthusiastic from those without the perfect view, to be honest. They are going to have the conversation as to whether to review it, and in the end, Heather Knight is pretty swiftly moving to her fielding position for the next over. She's not got much interest in having another look at that one. 8 without loss. Both the White Ferns openers have a boundary. Now the target 179. I was playing a football game once where we had to clear the field because 2 members of the royal family were landing on the pitch in their helicopter.
How good.
I know.
Also, really inconvenient for your village football game.
It wasn't a village football game. I was playing in Kensington Palace Gardens.
Right, okay. So that makes more sense why they landed there.
Yeah, it wasn't like they landed in sort of Stow on the Wold or somewhere.
So you were playing cricket on their...
Football.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Here comes Farron, bowling to Lauren Down, who slightly squared up by that, but defends successfully into the offside.
Alex has listened really well to that story, hasn't she?
Do you know what it is, Phil? I've heard that story so many times.
I
just switched off.
You haven't,
yes,
have you?
I have, yeah.
Oh, what? That's disappointing. Anyway, I'm not sure. You at home may not have heard it.
So go on, carry on.
Thank you. I was playing football for the Foreign Office football team. I didn't work there, mate did. In comes Farrant, bowls, driven away. Lovely piece of timing and a really good stop as well from Winfield Hill, running over to her left from mid-off. They'll get back for a couple of runs, but it certainly saves 2, and England need to save everything they can. New Zealand are 10 without loss. And so I was just an emergency. I was a ringer player for that game. And we're playing against a Royal Household staff team. Couldn't believe it. And so that's when the helicopter landed.
Oh, how good.
It was very exciting. In comes Tash Farrant, and there's an outside edge which will whistle down towards one of the 2 fielders England have outside the circle. Catherine Brunt at deep third. A single is taken, 11 without loss.
And who were the 2 Royals?
I don't know, actually.
Oh.
They were quite far away because we had to go right to the other end of the field.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just in case.
I was through on goal at the time. No, I wasn't. Obviously, I was my normal position. Left back in the change room. Tash Farrant coming into bowl. Left arm over. Keeper standing up to the stumps. It's Bates on strike who defends.
During the 2017 World Cup, we played football down at Taunton as a warm-up. So it was Team Shrubsole versus Team Brunt. And I was on the bench for one of the teams. And it got to the second half. I'd still not made my debut.
No.
And Robbo, the referee, head coach Mark Robinson, he subs me on.
Come on. In comes Farrant. Bowling to Bates, drilling the ball back into the ground, and well stopped by Farrant. Actually, it was heading quite swiftly towards her face, but she manages to stop it.
So the whistle blows, substitute Hartley on.
Who for?
I don't know, let's say Siveroff. Big move.
Yeah.
Big move. I'm going on the left wing. And the full-time whistle goes.
No. And he blows that whistle.
Yeah.
No.
It's cruel, that, isn't it? But funny.
That's mean. Oh dear. As Farrant is in, bowls. Played hard up to Kate Cross, who had she fielded cleanly would have had an opportunity at the non-striker's end, but she didn't pick up. And so it is a single to finish the 4th over, and New Zealand are getting through this opening little barrage unscathed. 12 without loss. If you missed it earlier, it is worth reminding you of how England's innings played out, because it was an innings that had plenty of twists and turns and plenty of wickets as well. Let's make no mistake about that. England lost lots of wickets at the top. They found themselves at 20 for 3, then they were 27 for 4, 1.78 for 7, but some big partnerships involving Catherine Brunt, who was unbeaten at the end on 49, Kate Cross, who made 29, and Tash Farrant 12, helped them up to 178 all out, with only 9 balls unused in the innings. Brunt bowling, that's drilled back towards her, well stopped by the England fast bowler from Barnsley, and it is a dot ball.
She'll have been gutted not to get that 50 as well.
I was wondering that.
Yeah, she'll have been absolutely gutted. And even Tash Farrant as well, a mate who ends up getting out at the other end, your heart sinks when you're in a situation like that and you know I've let my batting partner down.
It's difficult because you're that pressure of the milestone and the need to get on with the scoring. In comes Brunt, who bowls to Bates in a bit of a tangle, looking to flick the ball away into mid-wicket, but can't get anything on it. Fielders in the deep are at a very sort of wide, fine leg and deep third, and so there's a lot of space with no square leg to work the ball into the onside. Anything that goes a little bit too straight.
So what she's struggling with at the minute, though, that Bates playing across the line of the ball.
Brunt bowling, and it's played straight. That's what, back to the bowler, that's what England are looking for, isn't it? Is hoping that she'll be tempted to play across the stumps and we'll get trapped LBW. So the score at 12 without loss, midway through the 5th over. And the sun's shining at Grace Road.
You've put your sunglasses on.
Yes.
Welcome to the sunglasses crew.
Yeah, I'm sort of feeling it's about that time. Sun's just lowering a little bit. Here comes Brunt again. Into bowl to Suzie Bates, who is beaten and bowled. Perhaps keeps a little bit low. Huge roar of delight from Catherine Brunt as Bates goes for 5, and that's the breakthrough England wanted early on.
That's the one they were looking for, the huge wicket of Suzie Bates. She's not really having the best of times over here in England at the moment, but Catherine Brunt gets the breakthrough. She's stuck in 2 minds whether to go back or forward, Suzie Bates, and she beats her defences. It hits the top of off, And as Amy Jones celebrates, she throws the ball and it hits down at the other end.
Really? Well, no harm done to Lauren Down, it's worth pointing out. It was quite a gentle toss back, I think, towards umpire Sue Redfern that was maybe a little bit wayward. There's the wicket then England wanted. The middle stump lying rather drunkenly against the off stump, having been rattled by Catherine Brunt. 12 for 1 is the New Zealand score, and Maddie Green comes to the middle, so England have one of the wickets. Phil?
We've spoken a lot about the big three in this New Zealand side of Bates, Satterthwaite and Devine. Here's two of the players who haven't really contributed over recent years. Maddie Green come to the wicket. She's got an average of 18.66. That's massively inflated though, actually, those scores against Ireland in that series a few years ago. Without them, her average is 14.32 from 34 innings, and Lauren Down has an average of 13.8, and that's despite a 90 against Australia early on in the year.
Yeah, and Suzie Bates has been struggling of late for runs as well. Yes, she's had a long time out of the game.
Brunt into bowl to Maddie Green, and she gets that bat down quickly. Had to as well, because it was full, it was straight and threatening. Gets through for the single and is up and running. 13 for 1. We've got a ball left of the fifth over.
But you can't help but feel they're so heavily reliant on Satterthwaite and Devine, and England know that. They know getting one of those out and having somebody else at the other end, you can just keep putting pressure on them.
Brunt is walking in the manner of somebody that has gone to a supermarket, knows what they want, knows where it is. Absolutely means business. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
There's going to be no browsing today. It is, I'm on a mission. She's coming in now to bowl. Right arm over. And it is played defensively by Lauren Down. Back towards the bowler. End of the over. A good one. Just the one run and the wicket in there. And New Zealand 13 for 1 after 5. I'm going to get out of the way, make room for Emily Windsor after some more thoughts from you, Alex.
Yeah, England have put up a fight in this first 5 overs. They have to. They're defending 179, so they've got to come out. They've got to try and take early wickets, put pressure on. They thought they had Suzie Bates LBW, but somehow miraculously it was turned over umpire's call, even though the ball was clattering middle of middle. But they've definitely put some pressure on these New Zealand batters, and you almost feel like, because New Zealand are capable of a collapse and capable of, they've sort of lost the ability to win games. This is a competitive score from England.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Alex, and England are going to be very happy with this start. It's left armour, Farron in, and that's forward in defence. Bit of shaping. 13 for 1. Big innings this, I think, from Maddie Green.
Yeah, I agree. You almost feel if she fails again, they're going to have to look elsewhere, New Zealand, and look to see what they've got potentially at home if they don't have any other batting options here in England.
In comes Tash Farron again swinging into the pads, played in defence by Green, no run. Also, I actually think the danger of they're only chasing, they need 179 to win, so you can be too defensive in these early overs and leave too much to do later. They sort of think, oh, we've got loads of time. Then the bowlers of this class, they're going to take they're going to bowl wicket taking deliveries and actually find themselves in trouble.
Yeah, and then the first change bowlers as well that England have got.
Barron again in the swing in, and that's played up to mid off. Strong shot though by Green, no run again.
You've got Kate Cross, who's picked up consistent wickets throughout this tournament, and then you've also got Sophie Eccleston, the world's number 1 T20 bowler. I think she's moved up to number 6 in the world in the ODI rankings as well now. So these bowlers, they're still world class, that are coming on first change, so you can't just wait for the first change bowlers.
Farron in again. This time she's tried to cut it, play a miss by Green, searching for runs. That ring field on the offside.
But what you can see at the minute is Sophie Eccleston's almost bowling too quick. She's so frightened of going for runs that she hasn't been as consistent and as threatening as she has been in other series. So New Zealand will know that. They'll know she's bowling quick. They'll look to play her off the back foot. But if Soph can just bowl a little bit slower.
Farron in again. Tried to cut again off the back foot, but can only find Tammy Beaumont at point. Another dot ball.
And try and get the ball to spin away from the right-hander. She's a world-class bowler, is Eccleston.
And she's that one, isn't she? When teams play against her, they're going to do a lot of preparation how are we going to score runs against Eccleston? How are we going to not let her be the one that takes those 5 wickets? As Farrant in again to Green, and that's cut again, finds Dunkley at cover, so again no run, good bit of fielding there. That's the end of the over. That's a maiden over from Tash Farrant, and scores 13 for 1, 6 overs gone. And actually I think it can become more challenging when you are that strike bowler, because teams almost prepare more against you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they do. You often find with bowlers when they come into international cricket, they'll always do well for the first 6 or 8 months because there's no footage, nobody's seen them play before. And then once you've played, I don't know, 15, 20 games for your country, teams really can then look at all the footage, look at how you start your spells, look at how you take your wickets, and then they can make plans on how they're going to play against you. But Sophie Eccleston, I mean, she's played for 4 or 5 years now, and teams still can't work her out. She's still so good.
She's a player that always wants to develop, as is Catherine Brunt, who's been around a very long time for England as she bowls. That's outside the off-stump, play a miss. Amy Jones up to the stumps, takes it cleanly. Another dot ball.
And what's actually happened over the last few years with England and their spinners, they've had a lot of spinners coming in and out of the team. So with me in 2017, did really well in my first year or two, and then Lindy Smith came in, she's done really well, Kirsty Gordon, and Sophie Eccleston's always been there and always kept up with the game and always got better.
Again, Catherine Brunt, hair in a bun, in again, and that's again a nick. Is that a nick? They're appealing. Amy Jones seems convinced, and they're going to have a conversation. Heather Knight's walking towards Amy Jones, and they are sending it upstairs for a review.
Catherine Brunt didn't appeal because she was flat on the floor.
She's done a Mark Wood.
She has indeed.
As she's gone through her delivery, she's fallen over. She's currently crawling off the wicket.
But I tell you what, that is very strange. She's still on her knees. There we go. She's up on her feet. But Amy Jones seemed convinced here. And that looks like there could be a little nick. We're obviously going to wait for Ultra Edge. It'll be the shaft of the bat if there is. We just see that play now. And it looks like there is nothing. That will be called not out. Lauren Down will survive. And Sue Redfern gets the right decision, not out.
Amy Jones was convinced then as well, wasn't she? She thought that there was a little snick, but there wasn't.
So England lose the review. And Catherine Brunt, though, still building pressure, dot ball pressure here from England. Tash Farrant with the maiden over before. Catherine Brunt now with 2 dots. This partnership between Down and Green we've seen in the series so far, it just seems to be very slow at starting.
Yeah, the run rate that they're going at the minute is just 2.1 per over.
Brunt into Down, and this time that's driven to backward point and taken. She's chipped that straight to her, and that's Down gone for 7. The dot ball pressure has worked. 13 for 2 now, New Zealand.
Yeah, Down just looking to drive that one through the covers and almost gets a leading edge straight to backward point, and a good catch from Tammy Beaumont at backward point. She's really made that her own, but Down trying to play that through the covers.
Rewards for Catherine Brunt. She's got both the wickets, and she's such a talented bowler, isn't she? The amount of times you see her early on in the innings take important breakthroughs, and it's great to see it again.
It is. She's like a fine wine, is Catherine Brunt. She consistently takes wickets and she consistently gets better and better. She works hard. She's one of the hardest workers in the team. Always gets the reward, but you know, there's always that talk around her, when's she going to retire, should she retire, but she's honestly just getting better and better and finding different ways to get wickets, and credit to her, and that's the sort of person she is.
And with, I guess, she's got a lot of experience, so it's not just about raw pace for Catherine Brunt. She's now got she's got a lot of variations in terms of her deliveries, and she will outfox batters, which we've seen her do today. 2 wickets, one of Suzie Bates bowled for 5, and now Lauren Down gone for 7. The sun's setting here on Leicestershire, and we're set for a cracker. New Zealand need 179 to win, and these wickets falling, that seems to look further and further away.
It does indeed. And Amy Satterthwaite at the crease now. She's got the responsibility here. She's got her team. They'll all have everything crossed for her to get runs, because once she's gone and you bring in Sophie Devine to the crease and you can try and get her out, you know, you feel like it's England's game. And New Zealand, with the position they had England in, they'd have been confident going into this second innings.
Yeah, and again, we talked about in the first innings, New Zealand need to find a way to win games of cricket. So even if it's scrappy, they almost need that first win to maybe create a bit of momentum moving forward. But where the series lies, England 2 up, they win this one, they take the series. So all to play for is Brunt into the left-handed Satterthwaite. She's guided that to backward point. Tammy Beaumont does the fielding. Top ball.
Yeah, you often find that in franchise cricket and T20 cricket, if a team gets on a bad run, they lose games they should have won. And that's what's happened with New Zealand. They should have won at Worcester the other day, and they found a way to lose. They just kept getting out. England won by 13 by the Duckworth-Lewis Stern method, but New Zealand were in charge of that game for most of it.
Brunt again to Satterthwaite in. That's driven through the offside. That's a lovely shot by Satterthwaite. That's a way to get off the mark. There's no stopping that from the fielders, and Satterthwaite moves to 4, 17 for 2.
Yeah, a lovely shot. We've seen so many cover drives today go through the covers for 4. Just shows the ball really is racing away here at Leicester. We've got quite a large ground. It's very large square of the wicket, but it was wide outside the off stump. That from Catherine Brunt, really wide, almost wide line. Amy Satterthwaite, she's able to capitalise on that bad delivery.
Brunt from the Bennett end, steaming in again to Satterthwaite. This time that's played on the up. That's going to beat the field again. Tammy Beaumont diving to her left's not going to be able to stop that. And that's 4 more runs. And now New Zealand move to 21 for 2. Satterthwaite 8 off 3 balls. She means business. And there'll be a change in commentary box. Thank you very much, Alex Hartley. We'll be joined by Isabel Westreece shortly. But good batting from New Zealand in that over, losing the wicket of down. But Satterthwaite came in, a senior player, and got 2 boundaries away early on.
Yeah, she only bowled twice in this series, Catherine Brunt. She missed the last game. In the first game, she bowled her first 4 overs for 4 maidens. Today, she's swapped the maidens for wickets. 4 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 13.
Yeah, an impressive start. Good evening, Izzy.
Good evening, and what a glorious evening it is. The sun is streaming into our commentary box. You wouldn't have thought it was September.
The left-handed Tash Farrant in, and that's driven nicely through the covers this time by Maddie Green. 4 more runs, and that's 3 consecutive boundaries now for New Zealand. The score will move to 25 for 2 and Maddie Green to 5.
There's been a flurry of boundaries in the last couple of overs, just when England thought they were back in this. A few fuller deliveries, nicely lent there by Green. Satterthwaite now, she's gone past 1,000 career runs, ODI runs, hasn't she? Yeah,
that's an impressive landmark. A senior player as Tash Farrant in from the pavilion end to Green, this time down the leg sides, wrapped her on the pads, but Amy Jones quick to it, will be no run.
Yeah, that second 4 from Amy Satterthwaite was brought up 1,000 runs versus England in ODIs.
Oh, that's what it is. 1,000 runs against England. That's all right.
She likes playing against England, which is worrying signs when they're just chasing 179 to win here at Grace Road in Leicester. As Farrant in, and this time driven up to mid-off. They're going to come through for a quick single, hit Lauren Winfield, and she could be in trouble. Great backing up by Charlie Dean, but they make the single comfortably. Green moves to 6, 26 for 2.
Yes, of course, that's that unbeaten century in Dunedin earlier in the year, and that final ODI, and that victory over England. Then their 79 not out at Bristol. A small anomaly in just scoring 1 in the last match.
Yeah, this will certainly be a wicket England are hunting for. The left arm of Tash Farrant. The ball's going to be swinging away from Satterthwaite. So Heather Knight commands herself as captain in slip. Farrant just waving her arms at her boundary fielder. Catherine Brunt wants a square of the wicket out on the boundary rope at fine leg. Third man, the other fielder outside the circle as Farrant in, and that's down the leg side, taken nicely by Jones, but it will be a wide ball.
So with that 1,000 runs against England, she's, I think, they're only the 3rd person to do it after Mitali Raj and Belinda Clark. It's quite a little club to be in, really. Exclusive, you might say.
It certainly is. They're all players that have played a lot of international cricket, and against England women, as Farrant in again, this time driven on the up. Dean does the fielding at cover. Against England women, one of the leading sides in international cricket. It's quite an achievement.
No, it is indeed. She's such a reassuring presence in the middle order as well. You know, one of those batters that walks to the crease and you kind of go, if you're on her side, that is. If you're facing her, you're thinking, right, here we go again.
Barron in again, that's on the leg side, turned down to Catherine Brunt at fine leg. Satterthwaite will move to 9, 28 for 2, New Zealand. And I feel like with her, probably as you said, in the dressing room, she brings that calm, doesn't she? And that's where her and Devine are so important in this batting lineup. Obviously Suzie Bates gone early, but she's another one that has so much international experience. It's Farron in again, and this time just guided down to third man. I think that's intentional, but hands on Farron's head. Green moves to 7, 29 for 2 New Zealand, and that's 8 overs gone.
That was a concerted poke, wasn't it, outside the off stump? She knew it was there. She knew that there was no slip in place as well. Quite a wide third fielder. Didn't quite get the boundary for it, but certainly knew where she was trying to direct it. Used the pace of that and the angle really of the left arm over the wicket from Tash Farrant. Very savvy batter as well, isn't she, Satterthwaite?
Do you know what? I like that batting from Maddie Green, though. She's a player that hasn't scored many runs, so it's very easy, isn't it, to come in and get bogged.
Describing my cricket career. A player that hasn't scored many runs.
No, but it's easy, isn't it, to come in and get bogged down. At least she's trying to be proactive and rotate the strike.
Yeah.
So Maddie Green will face up to a fired up Catherine Brunt. She charges in and bowled, and that's played back down the pitch to her. 29 for 2. Those that haven't seen Catherine Brunt play, whenever she runs in, she looks like she means business, doesn't she?
When does she not? Absolutely. And she'll have been watching as well Leah Tahuhu bowling from the Bennett end, enjoying the down the slope momentum that comes with it, and savouring the prospect. And well, England do need Catherine Brunt
to fire, that's for sure. In she comes again, and that's down the pitch in defence from Green. No run, 29 for 2.
I just think they need her full stop. Her aggression, her canny with the bat as well, stranded on 49 at the end, her experience, the way she goes about things in the field, her kind of the voice, and then of course her bowling.
And her passion for sure. She's always very passionate whenever she's got those 3 lions on her chest. She steams in again past Sue Redfern, bowled, and that's turned to mid-wicket. They think about a quick single, but Dean quick to it. Will be no run.
Yeah, and the other thing today was she faced 98 balls for that 49, so she's moving her game on from just being that sort of lower order slogger into someone England can rely on to face balls when required.
Well, it's certainly in terms of positives from England's batting, you think about both Brunt but also Wyatt, similar style of players. Wyatt's certainly more of a batter, that's her main role, but certainly attacking ones. They like to go after, get a bat on ball very early to play those two sorts of innings.
Brunt in, and that's turned into the leg side. Will be a single this time. Dean comes round. Green will move to 8, 30 for 2.
Wyatt 63 not out in the previous match to take England just under 200, really sort of salvage what was a horrid situation. And then Brunt doing likewise here with all her experience and just resisting that urge to go at everything.
And how important do you think Izzy Brunt is in terms of not just her cricket? We talked about how fiery she is. And obviously looking to the World Cup, she is a player that you want to be on the pitch. Obviously fitness is really important, but she does bring that extra oomph, if you like, into the England bowling attack and batting.
Not even necessarily on the pitch. I mean, you think about the tours to Australia and to New Zealand. These are going to be long periods away from home.
Brunt to Satterthwaite. That's forward in defence. Arm in the air again. She wants this wicket. 30 for 2.
There'll be variable stages of, COVID isolation, but you're going to see a lot of the same faces a lot of the time. To have somebody with a very calm head outside the cricket pitch as well, the experience of touring, the reassuring figure. Oh, I think Brunt, they need Brunt on that plane 100%.
And she certainly wants to be there. There's no signs of Catherine Brunt stopping as she comes in again. Fuller delivery this time, driven up to mid-off. Lauren Winfield-Hill does the fielding. End of the over. 9 overs gone, 30 for 2. Brunt's bowled her 5 overs for 14, 2 wickets, including 1 maiden. Not a bad start, that. 149 needed from 41 overs. England need 8 wickets to win.
It's funny, whenever you talk of Brunt, and she's obviously the oldest player in the team, the veteran, has more caps than anybody else. She's spoken about in quite a similar vein to James Anderson in the England men's test team. Whenever you talk about them, you sort of have to precede their name with veteran, and then there needs to be some kind of discussion about how long they'll be there for and what England will do once they're gone. But Catherine Brunt is 3 years younger than James Anderson. I feel as though we should sort of stop, just can the talk of England post Brunt and enjoy what we have. It's very tempting.
I love this from you, Izzy. You're bringing lovely positivity to the commentary box. But you're totally right, though. Brunt shows no signs of stopping. She's performing on the international stage numerous times. Almost every game she puts the shirt on, she's doing something with the bat or the ball. It's a change of bowling from the pavilion end. Kate Cross is coming in past the umpire, and that's driven up to extra cover. Danny Wyatt diving there, doesn't get a hand to it. But Lauren Winfield-Hill at mid-off just picks it up cleanly.
The exciting thing for England is that she's only getting better with the bat. If you look at her top 6 scores with the bat, they've all come between now and top 8 scores even with the bat, have all come between sort of 30 and 72 not out, which is a higher score, come between now and 2017.
Cross in again, that's a fuller delivery, that's played back down the pitch. They're going to come through for a quick single. Tash Farrant comes round at mid-on, but they make it comfortably. Green moves to 9, 31 for 2.
Considering she made her debut in 2005, that's a very small bit of her career where she's been really performing and contributing with the bat, and that could be so well, it is so important for England, especially at the moment where the middle order don't seem to know what to do.
Do you know what's crazy is you've got Charlie Dean in that side, that Catherine Brunt's making her debut. Charlie Dean would be 1 year old. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? As Kate Cross comes into Satterthwaite, forward in defence, will be no run.
I did think that earlier when Catherine Brunt was out there, she was batted with Charlie Dean for a bit, didn't she? And she had Molly Penfold bowling from the other end. She must have, what is going on?
But I think it brings a real nice balance to the side. As a youngster, having that experience at the other end or sharing the pitch with you is only going to make you a better cricketer. As Cross in again to Satterthwaite, driving, and that's fielded nicely at cover by Charlie Dean. That was hit nicely though from Satterthwaite.
They do seem to complement each other, don't they? They're sort of the older and the younger, and not much in between. I was thinking about this watching the T20, the men's T20 Blast unfold on Saturday, and the nature of the Kent team, which had sort of Darren Stevens, but then also Jordan Clark doing the business with his half century in the final.
Cross to Satterthwaite, driven, that's a lovely shot. That's going to race away through the covers. 4 runs to Satterthwaite. She moves to 13, 35 for 2.
I could say equally about this New Zealand side. Demi Satterthwaite, 34 years old. We were talking about Penfold earlier. And a few of the other youngsters in the New Zealand side, a nice combination.
And with that glorious 4, Amy Satterthwaite brings up 6,000 runs in international cricket for New Zealand.
She's hitting all the landmarks today. And hopefully from an England perspective, it's not going to be chasing 179. But from their perspective, it is. It's Cross in again, driven up to mid-off. Will be no run. That's the end of the over. So 10 overs gone, 35 for 2. A few more thoughts from Isabel. And we'll have a change in commentary position. Alison Mitchell will join you.
She looks an unnerving touch there. Satterthwaite, when you think about the nature of her dismissal in the previous match, it was Kate Cross, it was the third of her wickets, as she was really tearing through the top order of New Zealand, bowling well, caught behind, so it was good bowling she fell to. But if you don't get Satterthwaite early, that's when the dangerous stuff starts to settle in. She's 13 not out at the moment, stroking it, timing the ball. As New Zealand find themselves 35 for 2, Phil, sorry?
Yes, such was the sort of strange form of that England innings. We've seen it in a few ODIs. I'm not sure if it's really worth comparing the power play. I'll do it anyway. England were 32 for 4 after their 10 overs. New Zealand 35 for 2.
It's just so weird. 32 for 4, and then to recover as they did, a very sort of a bottom-heavy innings.
Exactly the words I was going to use, Izzy. Good evening, good afternoon. The sun's getting low in the sky, isn't it? We're starting to sink, but it's a beautiful sunlit evening and there's still plenty of warmth in the sun. That's why there's a lot more people in the red seats down below us, not out of our sight, than there are down at the far end of the ground, which is in the shade, and we can't see a lot of the people who are holding their eyes up to the sun to give them some shade, but it's giving them some warmth. We've got Sophie Eccleston from the far end of the ground, the Bennett end of the ground. 2 wickets to Catherine Brunt, both going her way, and it's Maddie Green on strike. Eccleston, sunglasses on, left arm spin around the wicket, and it's full. Green is driving, it's underneath Heather Knight at extra cover, fielded at mid-off, a tumbling stop, and Green goes through for 1. 35 becomes 36 for 2, the start of this 11th over, and New Zealand chasing just 179 to win. Satterthwaite has looked in good touch, hasn't she, at the start of this innings?
Yeah, nice looking shot there from Green, but I wonder if Satterthwaite will want to take as much strike as possible from Eccleston, because she's turning it into Satterthwaite as a left-hander, so not quite as vulnerable to the spin as the right-hander would be.
A slip in place over the wicket to the left-hander, stroking it up to mid-off, and there's no run.
You feel as though you can get to the pitch a bit much more easily, get your foot in the way, back down, chances of edge more remote.
Eccleston over the wicket, defences does run off the outside edge past Winfield Hill, let's slip, running away down towards deep third boundary. Charlie Dean is after it, they're coming back for a second run. Throw comes back into the gloves of Amy Jones, and New Zealand make that 2 comfortably. 38 for 2 now in this 11th over.
I don't think I want to move ever. I want the sun to stay exactly where it is. I want cricket to be played out in front of me.
We can arrange a sleeping bag for you, full, clipped up to wide, mid-on, along the ground by Satterthwaite, and there is no run. It is a beautiful scene.
I need a sort of rope to tether the sun to where it is, because it's the perfect spot.
Well, I'm just having to lean forward. It's not quite perfect.
You need to
for me,
come
it's
over more
actually
to my
going right
left.
in my eye, so I'm just going to lean forward, and I can use the window frame to block the sun out of my eye. Eccleston over the wicket again. It's well wide again of slip, but not the most certain stroke that time from Satterthwaite, so she hasn't looked as comfortable against the spin. It's fielded at backward point by Kate Cross moving in.
The spin or Eccleston spin?
Eccleston spin, yes. Flights it, drifts it, that's a quicker delivery. Defended, rolled back up the pitch, and Eccleston picks up off her own bowling to end a tidy over. 11 overs gone, 38 for 2. Green on 10, Satterthwaite on 15. Lauren Down made 7 and Suzie Bates 5. That dismissal of Suzie Bates. I mean, we know that Catherine Brunt gets angry. I can't recall quite seeing her as animated, angry for a while.
You see, I think that every time, and then you go back and watch a sort of replay of a Catherine Brunt wicket and you realise they're all exactly the same. She gives everything in the celebration as much as she does in the effort of getting the wicket in the first place.
It was a celebration full of vim and vigour, and I'd suggest having a look at it on the BBC Sport website, but the digital clips and the in-play highlights.
Was it Brunt that got injured celebrating a few years back? Am I making this up?
Cross in now, the keeper standing up, and Green is forward. Cross fields off her own bowling. I think she did, didn't she?
I think it was a few years back. She was jumping in the air or something to celebrate a wicket and then pulled a muscle, and it left her out for quite a while. And it was one of those where you kind of thought, yeah, only Brunt really could have done that.
Celebrate with such gusto.
So there you go. I have seen her celebrate with vigour.
She'd batted for a long time, faced 98 balls earlier. Cross in outside the off stump, and a play and a miss, getting right forward. Green looking to drive down on one knee and into the gloves of Amy Jones.
That's right, she'd batted for 98 balls. She will feel robbed of a half century. The ball before she got the wicket, she was robbed of what appeared to be an LBW. She must have been absolutely furious.
I mean, that's a double whammy if ever there was one for Catherine Brunt. She deserves a 50, didn't she, for the effort, given the circumstances, given that England were 78 for 7. Cross in outside the off stump, sided away, pass backward point, and for 4. There is a fielder on the deep third boundary, but it couldn't be cut off. Struck really crisply by Maddie Green. Moves her on to 14, and New Zealand 42 for 2 in the 12th over.
That had a nice little thwack of the bat, didn't it? Oh, it sounded good. And I think that's been the case throughout this match. The pitch has played true to form. Yes, New Zealand bowled well, to Huhu especially, but there's been no demons in it. And it gives you good worth for those shots. That was a lovely stroke, a little bit wide there from Cross.
Crosses in again past the umpire, bowls straight at that time on off stump, but still a quick single's being taken into the covers. Danny White underarms it back towards the keeper's end, and they're safely through for the one. Smart bit of work, good reactions, good calling. And New Zealand are 43 for 2. Which just sort of really makes it very curious, doesn't it? The quality of Leah Tahuhu at the top of the New Zealand innings. There's no demons in the pitch, no uneven bounce, or balls weren't keeping low. Absolutely rattled through England's top order. Around the wicket cross to the left-hander, Satterthwaite is defending, and Beaumont moves in from point to pick up, and there's no run. We've got one shadow from one floodlight in the corner of the ground by the scoreboard that is stretching right the way across the pitch now, and the players' own shadows are lengthening as well as the sun begins to dip away to the right-hand side of the ground.
Glorious, glorious time of day.
Golden hour. Maybe not quite. That's probably a little bit later, just before sunset. Wonderful for photography. Cross looking to pitch it up, drives, and only as far as cover. Finds Wyatt on the edge of the circle. Satterthwaite stays on 15 at the end of that over, so 15 apiece for these two. 12 overs gone. New Zealand chasing a mere 179 to win. They didn't manage that at Worcester. They were bowled out for 10 runs less than that. But they're 43 for 2 at this stage. So they need to learn some lessons from previous run chases and just try and string together bigger partnerships and more than one.
Yeah, Maddie Green made 9, so she's into double figures now with about 15. She's had a poor run of form of recent. I mean, she has been playing England and Australia, to be fair, but still.
Tough opponents. Quality bowlers, and here's one of them. It's Eccleston around the wickets, clipped away. Short fine leg is there inside the circle. Andy Field placing, and I'm sure she was aware that Cross was, Winfield Hill rather, was right on the edge of the circle there, ready to come forward and field. I think she was expecting that to be a gentle single. 43 for 2 then still. Eccleston in her sunglasses. Around the wicket forward comes Green and defends. Back up the pitch. Eccleston picks up off her own bowling. See the open-sided marquee down at the far end of the ground. It's got a couple of green and blue umbrellas there. Parasols. Not needed anymore. The sun's not shining on that side of the ground.
You need to upend the marquee and traipse it over to the other side.
Looks like it's been a very sociable afternoon in there though, as Eccleston is in. Struck on the pad. An awkward looking shot from Green. Only half a sort of strangled appeal. And she stepped across and shaped to try and whip it through the leg side. Well, ricochets away towards points.
Yeah, tricky this now for Green. She'll really want to get the left-hander on strike.
And goes Eccleston again. Green strokes it, beats extra cover. Picked up on the edge of the circle and quite a quick throw into Sophie Eccleston, and she didn't catch it. It was just over the stumps. And the ball ricocheted off the palm of her hand, picked up by Heather Knight. She gave her hand a little bit of a shake, so to say that was a bit of a stinger. Fired in. 44 for 2. 2 more balls to come now from Eccleston. And she's bowling to the left-handed Satterthwaite. Deep mid wickets drop back onto the boundary. Slip is in place. Eccleston is in, forward, easing it up to mid-on. Straight to the fielder, and another dot ball. Eccleston wanting to try and build pressure here. England have got to get wickets. It's the only way they're going to win this match. Whirl of the arms from Eccleston. In she goes, and Satterthwaite's forward, getting well over the ball. Plays a solid defence to end the over. 44 for 2 then after 13, and the target 179. It's good to see Jonathan Agnew up here earlier today, as this is old stomping ground, and my old stomping ground as well.
Oh, there you go. We're all coming back.
Exactly.
The home of cricket, according to Aggers.
Yeah, I lived in Leicester for 4 or 5 years at the start of my career. So it all began at BBC Leicester. So I lived only a stone's throw away over in Clarendon Park, beautiful green part of the city. And all around here you've got the Victorian terrace houses with their chimney pots that you can see peeping over the top of the green trees.
That will
scoreboard.
Always be my one little issue with Grace Road, is that you arrive on Grace Road, and of course there's not a single entrance to the ground on Grace Road.
It's on Curzon, isn't it?
You end up sort of walking down past the little garages and houses going, oh God, how do I get into this place?
Cross in now, and Green is defending. Ball on a length middle stump and pushed into the onside.
That's right, with a ground that supposedly, or I believe is the case, has got the second largest outfield in the world after the MCG. It's an incredibly difficult ground to find.
Yes, that's true. Sort of nestled amongst all the houses and a few garages and things. Very inconspicuous.
Very narrow little streets all around, isn't it? In goes cross outside the off stump, chopped away. It beats diving backward point, and that'll be 4. And that's a good area. Seen a boundary through that region already. And whenever Kate Cross offers some width, very quickly to latch onto it.
Very similar to the one that we saw just a couple of overs ago. Just erring a little bit in line. And Satterthwaite is too good a player to let that one pass. Lovely looking shot back on a point. Tammy Beaumont there trying to fling her body towards it, full length. She's not the tallest of people and couldn't manage it that time.
It's chopped into the ground and bounced and flew wide of Beaumont. Cross in again, inside the off stump. She's forward green, looking to drive, gets down on one knee almost, but only finds Wyatt.
Yeah, sorry, it was green that time. So I love these kind of grounds where they just kind of suddenly they're there. I live in Hammersmith and my local football ground is Craven Cottage, so Fulham. It's the same kind of thing. It's just a sort of row of houses and suddenly there's a turnstile and you go, all right.
There's something behind it.
It is not quite a Premier League football ground right now, but is on occasion.
Cross in, rather skews away, not quite finding the middle of the bat, but down to deep third. Fielded and a single is added. Have you been to the cricket ground that's near Old Street Tube Station? Is it the old artillery ground?
The HAC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So actually,
again, City of London, skyscrapers, it's Old Street, it's not particularly picturesque, and then all of a sudden it opens up into this burst of green.
It's the Honourable Artillery Company, so it's a reserve battalion from the British Army, and it's supposed to be, I think, the most highly sought after piece of real estate in London because it's right in the centre of the City of London. Yeah. Kate Cross just aborted a ball, so we've got a bit of time here. And my law school that I wanted to do my legal studies was very close to it.
Satterthwaite awaits as crosses around the wicket to her, stroking it out through the covered vacant region there, and it's left for Wyatt to move in from the boundary infield, and a single is added. Brings the 50 up for New Zealand. 50 for 2 in this 14th over. Their target 179, so they're making good progress here.
And our law library was on the top floor. So I cannot tell you how many days I would just go really early to bag the seats by the window, and then you just watch this beautiful games of cricket. Quite often charity matches getting played there and things.
Well, that's why I'd been there for a charity match with the PCA. Cross is in again, defending right at the last minute there. Green bringing the bat down, not really moving her feet very much, and Cross picks up off her own bowling to end the over. So it's 14 gone. Are you off, Izzy?
I am off, but I would say yes. If you ever get given the opportunity to play at the HAC ground in London, take it, grab it, and enjoy it. It is a beautiful, beautiful ground, and in a quite weird way, but lovely.
It is. It's like it's an oasis, bang in the middle of the grey old city of London. When I say grey, it's plenty of sparkling, glassy skyscrapers around that part of town these days. But yeah, the HAC ground is a beautiful one. There's quite a few places around the world that feel like they're little oases in the middle of all the houses. There's a bit more green around Grace Road though, for the fact that it is sort of dropped right into the middle of quite a dense Victorian suburb of Leicester. Eccleston continuing the 15th over, and Satterthwaite is defending back up the pitch to Eccleston. 50 for 2. So we welcome Georgia Elwes back again. Good afternoon, evening.
Hello.
Any cricket grounds that you particularly enjoy that surprise you, that are sort of in the middle of a concrete jungle? And Satterthwaite is defending again, angling it out towards cover. Dunkley is there to field, no run.
Yeah, that was a good question. I'll have to have a think about that and come back to you.
Then Grace Road is nestled here amongst trees and red brick houses. Eccleston in, using the feet, lofting this over the top of mid-on is Satterthwaite. A bit of aggression for 4. He's timed it well, choosing to attack Eccleston, and a lofted drive over mid-on.
Beautiful shot there from Satterthwaite, just using her feet, being aggressive against Eccleston, and she can as the left-hander. Slightly easier for her to face Eccleston with the ball turning into her, and a beautiful shot for 4 there.
Timed it well. A little shimmy. She's on to 20. 54 for 2. Along the ground this time too. Mid-on now. The ball seemed to kick up off something that was uneven in the ground because it burst up and almost wrapped Charlie Dean right on the chin. She managed to save.
You made a meal out of that, didn't she?
Yeah. Managed to save a run though. Miss Satterthwaite awaits again. Eccleston in. A little quicker that time. Fuller defending. Back up the pitch. Eccleston picks up and there's no run. just the 2 wickets so far. I think they've got to find another breakthrough. And I know Satterthwaite is key to New Zealand's run chase here. It's only a small target. Eccleston in again. Oh, and she's beaten into the gloves of Jones. Going back, it's skipped through past that off stump, and Eccleston is left with her hands on her head. I'd love to get a different view of this from front on the big screen, but 54 for 2 at the end of 15 overs with Maddie Green on 21, Satterthwaite on 20.
Yeah, I wonder if that was just the arm ball from Sophie Eccleston. It looked like it came out a little bit quicker, didn't it? Through her action a little bit quicker, and
took Satterthwaite by surprise.
Yeah, definitely.
So a glorious evening at Grace Road. Henry Moran is about to come in here to continue commentary. But we're going to have a bit of Charlie Dean. Yes, a change then. So Kate Cross is being taken off and Charlie Dean is coming on, who was fabulous, wasn't she, in the closing stages at Worcester in the last game. So I'll leave you to talk a little bit more about Charlie Dean, Georgia, and then Henry Moran is coming in.
Yeah, she was absolutely brilliant last game. Looks like she's been playing international cricket for a long time now. She's playing with a smile on her face, and how often you see players playing well when they're enjoying their cricket, and Heather Knight entrusting her with the ball here, see if she can make that crucial breakthrough.
And it would be a crucial breakthrough because New Zealand on top, 54 for 2. In comes Charlie Dean, worked into the leg side from the bat of the right-handed Maddie Green as the shadows lengthen at Leicester. We couldn't have got much better weather. I know we had a little bit of a rain delay at Worcester, but it's been pretty good for mid-September, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has actually. It's taken people by surprise, I think.
Yeah. Here comes Dean, bowling, beats the outside edge of Green's bat. I always like a rhyming wicket. Dean to Green.
We went for a little walk at the interval to try and find an ice cream van, and don't think they booked one. Don't think they booked one in September.
Do you book an ice cream van? Or does the ice cream van book itself? Here comes Dean. It's driven away, out to deep cover and Sophia Dunkley. One more onto the total, 55 for 2. It's a sort of existential question, that, isn't it? Phil, you're from around these parts.
Well, no, do you know what I was about to say? I've always fancied, I like little ways of making money without working too hard, as you can tell from my scoring here. I've always fancied owning an ice cream bike.
But that sounds to me like working harder.
Well, no, because you only work when the sun comes out.
Wait, this is a terrible business idea. To Satterthwaite waiting as Dean bowls and it's defended.
You're not in it to become a millionaire.
Though that's how Duncan Bannatyne started.
Well, that is how he started. And who knows, if you have a good summer, you might be a millionaire by the end of that summer. Or you'd have a very good suntan.
Here comes Dean round the wicket, cut away into the ground and into the hands of Beaumont at backward point. But surely that's more, because if the aim of the game is less effort, that's more effort if you're cycling.
Well, no, I think people like the idea of an ice cream bike, don't they? So you sort of set up camp somewhere.
In comes Dean, sweeping, and with a little bit of jeopardy, Satterthwaite will get a leg by because it wasn't quite straight enough to cause problems had she missed it, and indeed she did. In fact, actually, she missed it entirely, so it is signalled as wides, and 2 onto the score, 57 for 2.
So today, for instance, I would have seen the sun was shining.
Yeah.
I'd have loaded up my bike, come and parked here or just outside, and Georgia Elvis would have wandered by and bought 3 or 4 ice creams off me.
Dean bowls and a leading edge drops into the offside as Green defends, and that is the end of the over. 16 gone, 57 for 2. New Zealand chasing 179 for victory. What I don't really understand here, Phil, is why you couldn't do that with a van.
Because it's all about setup costs. You've got to buy the van. You've got to run it on. I mean, it's 2021. How green is an ice cream bike?
Very, except how do you keep your ice cream cool?
Well, we need to look at those. Iron these problems out early on.
Unless you want to pedal a generator.
So there we go, we've solved it already. There we go.
I've got visions of Phil Long sitting on a bicycle, desperately connected to a generator, getting very out of breath, trying to serve
I'll serve you in a minute.
Absolute mayhem.
Yeah, well, we need to work on it, but I think the idea is there in principle.
It's certainly there in principle, it's just a really bad one, isn't it?
We'll leave that one. I think it's safe to say you're out.
yeah. I'm afraid you will not be getting my 10p. I'd quite like a sort of test match special Dragon's Den with cricketing ideas. anything to do with cricket. Like Rosalie Fairbairn came up with a belter this year, Georgia, during the Test series against India that you were playing in. That is zinger boundaries. So you know when an umpire takes forever to know if the player's in contact with the boundary when they touch the ball. If the boundary's electrified and lights up, you know immediately.
No, I like that. But what happens if the ball's gone? The players move the ball away and then they get in contact with the rope. You still got to go upstairs, haven't you?
No, because you'd see the ball had gone. Because it's always about, is their foot touching the boundary? Because you'd know exactly the moment their foot was touched or whatever. I mean, I think, again, set-up costs might be problematic. You're not going to see that on the village green. But keep your ideas coming in.
You know what I've always wanted?
Go on.
In nets, right, in scenarios, we do scenarios in training, and you have to visualise the field. And the bowler never thinks it's a run, and the batter always thinks it's a run. I want someone to design something where you can have these virtual fielders, and they either get the ball or they don't.
This is a brilliant idea.
Problem solved.
Yes.
There's never been a cover drive in a net that's not been four.
Of course, it never.
Every cover drive.
You never crunch one away and say, do you know what? I think you probably got that. You're right. This is a brilliant idea. I don't know how you could do it cheaply, other than polystyrene cutouts that you just hang up. You know, you can go and maybe get a mannequin.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have tried that because it did get quite feisty at one point, but then the rebuttal from the bowler as well. The fielders can move, so.
Yeah, but I think you'd counteract that by virtue of the fact that the surface area of the mannequin would not necessarily reflect the distance from. So that is the movement taken out of it. This is a genius idea, Georgia. Sophie Eccleston's going to bowl as New Zealand needing another 122 from 34 overs. They're 2 down as Satterthwaite whips that ball round the corner, and there's no protection down there, and it will be 4 runs. It's a loose delivery first up from Eccleston, and easy pickings for New Zealand's number 4.
Yeah, a little bit of a loose ball there from Eccleston. She'll be disappointed with that.
It's just proper help it on its way sort of stuff. And with England's field set up as it is, we're out of the power play overs, and England are just trying to limit those singles and build pressure. Satterthwaite forward, pushing as far as mid-off. So we've got a fielder at long on, deep squarish mid-wicket, and then a backward square leg. So England looking really to try and build that pressure as this is jammed down on, worked into the leg side, and Knight runs round in that slightly mechanical fashion. 61 for 2 is the score. Do you know what I mean? She runs a bit like how early computer games designed humans to run. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, I do. And
sort of arms for hands very straight and pumping sort of very rhythmically. And in comes Eccleston, bowling to Green, who gets that bat down just in time again. And you see this so often with Sophie Eccleston, it's that pace that just seems to surprise batters.
Yeah, it does. She's onto you very quickly. I think her arm speed is very similar between her arm ball and her stock delivery, but it just skids on, doesn't it? It doesn't give you get any room to width to work with.
Eccleston coming into bowl, and Green is forward. It's a good stop from Eccleston, and her follow through. It's a good recovery as well after that boundary first up in the over. New Zealand's women 62 for 2, chasing 179. England all out in the 49th over earlier on. Disappointing display with the bat. Eccleston in again. This is run off the face of the bat towards backward point, fielded by Beaumont. And that is the end of the 17th over. So 62 for 2 the score. Good partnership being built here between Green and Satterthwaite, who've got 22 and 25 respectively. And the crowd that are here at Grace Road, dotted around the stands, and in that it looks quite a busy pavilion, marquee over there. I think that's the posh seats.
Yeah, they look like they're enjoying themselves over there, don't they? And I'm sure the drinks will be flowing, and they're enjoying their day out at the cricket, and probably a longer game now than they perhaps thought they might have seen about an hour into play.
Oh yeah, England was 78 for 7, so it was quite a recovery. Charlie Dean then to bowl from the pavilion end in front of us, round the wicket to the left-handed Satterthwaite, who'll get runs into the offside, out towards Catherine Brunt, fielding at deep cover. There's another onto the total, 63 for 2. is the score. And with that, the 50 partnership.
The 50 partnership, that's right.
26 from Satterthwaite, 21 from Green, and they've played with the exact control that New Zealand will be desperate for.
Yeah, they have. I think they've been quite impressed with how they've played. Very low risk.
Green on strike as in comes Charlie Dean. There's a more risky shot as it's driven on the charge from the right-hander, but to the left of the England bowler in her sunglasses and only as far as mid-off.
Yeah, they look quite comfortable, dare I say it, and they can extend this partnership. They'll go a long way to winning this game.
Dean bowling, and that's in the air. Could be a catch. Put down by Eccleston at mid-on. And it probably should have been taken. It was high, but she's a tall figure and made up that ground. It was a chancy, risky shot that just about had enough on it to bring 4 runs.
Yeah, I think Eccleston will be disappointed here. It's a tough chance, but it's a chance that you need to be taking to win these games. I think she just through the fingertips of Eccleston at mid-on, and if she'd perhaps timed the jump a little bit better, might have made it a bit easier for herself.
She's just a little late on it almost. Dean in. And forward comes Maddie Green to push one into the offside where Farrant will field. And that will be the sort of moment that if she goes on to make a big score, England will look back on as an opportunity. Okay, we've got a correspondent regarding ice cream bicycles. Here comes Charlie Dean. Bowling and almost getting through. Satterthwaite's defence came down quickly.
When I mentioned it, I thought, oh, I've let the cat out of the bag. There'll be millions of them about now. It's such a good idea.
Yeah. Maybe. In comes Charlie Dean. Bowling, and it's again a big lunge forward from Satterthwaite in defence. 18 overs gone, 68 for 2 the New Zealand score. They are chasing 179 for victory. So James Mattinson writes TMS at bbc.co.uk and says power issue solution. Subject ice cream bikes. Clip-on batteries available for exchange at electric car charging points. See, that's not a bad shout, is it? That could. The problem is batteries when they're in use do give off heat. So you'd need to keep them away from the ice cream.
But it's a start into how we're going to power this stage.
James, we need more. This is a solid, promising start, but we might need more. Eccleston is in. Bowling to Maddie Green. Round the corner it goes. As far as Winfield Hill, they'll get through for a quick single to move to 69 for 2. James goes on to say, is there anywhere on the BBC TV channels where I can watch the highlights of today's ODI? Well, there is good news on that front. And you can watch in-play highlights on the BBC Sport website and app, and full game highlights on the BBC Red button and then on the iPlayer later on this evening. Beats the outside edge of Satterthwaite's bat. Eccleston bowling with a slip in place. So there is plenty of ways to see the clips, see the best of the action. Eccleston again in the autumn sunshine, bowling to Satterthwaite, who defends. So what are England looking to do here, Georgia?
Well, they first and foremost need to break this partnership, don't they? But they need, I think, the way that they're going to do that is by building pressure. They need to bowl in partnerships and not leak too many easy runs.
Eccleston bowls. That's whipped round the corner from Satterthwaite out towards Danielle Wyatt, who picks up at square leg. One more. Moves Satterthwaite to 27. New Zealand 70 for 2.
I've got a question on the ice cream bikes.
Yes.
So does that mean you'd have to set up the bike near the car charging
Yes.
port, and it'd then have to be in the car park all day?
That's a very good point. Also, Phil, as Eccleston bowls, dug out by Green, half stopped at extra cover, and a single is taken. 71 for 2. You've got the other issue, which is if you need people to go and get you new batteries, that's another member of staff you're going to need.
Yeah, we need to consider the profit seems to be going down by the minute, doesn't it?
Satterthwaite defends back to Sophie Eccleston. We need a name for your company as well. Maybe, I mean, because they're all melting. Mr. Drippy.
Well, they used to be a thing, didn't they? Ice cream bikes.
Well, hold on. You've claimed them as your invention, Tim Wells.
No, I never said my invention. I think that it's a way of selling ice creams in a kind of green way.
Yeah.
Thinking about the environment.
Well, why don't you just get a hybrid van?
Well, I'm thinking more like remember back in their butcher's bike, the big box on the front.
Yeah.
Fill that full of ice creams.
Maybe you could bring the butcher's bike back to cricket.
Well, yeah.
Sell a bit of mince. A few lamb chops. Charlie Dean to bowl. From the pavilion end, spin from both ends for England. Maddie Green, outside edge, it's going to fly down towards the deep third boundary. There's no protection there. And towards that marquee, 4 runs at the start of the 20th over. 75 for 2.
Yeah, not the prettiest 4 that Maddie Green will have played this innings, but she won't care. She won't care how they come, will she? And crucially, 4 off the first ball, which immediately puts that pressure back onto Charlie Dean.
It does, and New Zealand is getting close to being within 100 of their target. They're still only 2 down. Dean is in, defended into the offside. Tim Wells joins the conversation. Says, well, how about selling umbrellas as well as ice cream? So you've always got some income, so no matter rain or shine, Phil.
Yeah, Tim, he sounds like a businessman like myself.
Charlie Dean bowls. It's down the leg side. Jones can't quite get there. Work for Winfield to do it short fine leg, and does well because that was scooting its way to the fine leg boundary.
My thinking is, if you see people cycling around town with hot food on their backs, it surely can't be impossible to keep food very cold on a large bike.
Yeah, sort of, but this ice cream needs to be kept very cold. Dean round the wicket to Satterthwaite. Slip in place. It's played up towards cross at mid-on. Simon messages. I've always dreamed of turning Betty, my mobility scooter, into an ice cream scooter. It could run the fridge off the second battery. My wife did not share my enthusiasm. Simon, this is the sort of thinking we need. Full dug out by Satterthwaite. Jack, who's here today, says, you don't need any power. I know someone's got an ice cream bike. It's basically a massive ice box on the front. You can't do 99s, but you can do the scoop ice cream. Okay. Dean. Bowling to Satterthwaite, who gives a big swing, and inside edge will run towards Dunkley. Sprinting in from square leg. A little bit of a risky shot. It doesn't cause any problems with the score 78 for 2. So it sounds like we're getting somewhere here, Georgia.
Well, I don't want to be a dampener on things, but...
Pleased to be. It's a ridiculous idea. Charlie Dean coming in. Maddie Green is chasing one that goes through to the gloves of Amy Jones.
Surely you'd have a finite supply of ice creams, and you could only sell so many per day because you've only got so many that you can keep cool at once.
You make a very good point. Yeah,
but that's the same with any business, isn't it? When you run out, you run out. You go back and you restock if it's a great day.
Right.
What does Alan Sugar say?
I'm going to get
out
of the way.
Can you smell what sells?
I'm going to leave you with 2 thoughts before Emily Winter comes to join us. LA Candy says, ice cream trikes already exist, and UK Crunch says you need to talk to Ebony about this because ice cream bicycles, there's already a famous picture of her riding one in England kit. We need to track this down. Right, I'm getting out of the way, and Emily Windsor, I can do this last ball, and then Emily Windsor. Eccleston bowls, it's pushed into the offside. There is no run. Georgia Ellis, some thoughts from you.
Yeah, we'll talk a little about the cricket, shall we, for a moment. Sophie Eccleston bowling nice and tidy. She just needs a bit more support, I think, from the other end.
It's Eccleston in, and that's forward in defence. There's no run. I was enjoying the ice cream talk. Why do we have to go serious when I come on air?
Well, we don't. If you have any opinions on it, please share them.
Well, I know you're heavily disappointed about the lack of ice cream vans here. As in comes Eccleston again, and that's forward in defence by Satterthwaite. 78 for 2. Let's go back to cricket. 78 for 2. England need a wicket here, don't they?
Yeah, you feel they almost need a couple quickly here. Looks like it's becoming too easy for New Zealand.
Eccleston left arm in, and that's turned nicely into mid-wicket. Tash Farron out in the deep, keeps it to a single. Good running. Been impressed by Maddie Green as well. We were saying on air with Alex that this is a really important innings for her. Not really scored many runs. She's on 33 not out. She needs to go on as a number 3 batter. For your country, you need to be going on and getting those 50 plus scores.
Yeah, I think New Zealand quite like her.
Eccleston into Green, forward in defence again, no run.
She's batted in a fair few different positions over her career. I know she had one season over with the Brisbane Heat at the Big Bash where she scored a stack of runs and got herself up the order in this New Zealand side, but she really needs to, I suppose, repay the selectors with a bit of favour. The beginnings here.
Or to see her team home as Eccleston in again, forward in defence. That's 21 overs gone, and we're going to have a change in commentary box, and Georgia will leave us, and we will be joined by Alex Hartley.
Yeah, Maddie Green's batted at every position for New Zealand between opening and number 9. She's batted all the way through there. Her career, yeah, it's a strange one. She's got that big score, those 2 big scores against Ireland back in 2018. She made 122 and 50, but in the meantime, she's never passed 50 against anyone else.
Yeah, so, and she'll be well aware of that as a player. I'm sure she will be wanting to get there today after a very good start from her. She's got all the time in the world as Charlie Dean, the off spinner, into Satterthwaite, who advances and they pushes it into covers for a single. Tash Farrant does the fielding. She moves to 30, 80 for 2.
More ice cream bike chat.
I'm
David
thrilled
Stratton Tomsit's been in touch. He's not happy.
Oh no. Now I'm worried. And you leave us in suspense as well, as Charlie Dean comes in, slip in place, advances and plays to mid-off. Kate Cross does the fielding, no run.
He says, "Hi guys, come on. Ice cream was sold in Edwardian times from a trike, which was insulated. No batteries. And the slogan, stop me and buy one."
I've bought an ice cream from an ice cream bike before. It was delightful.
Dean in advances, that's played to mid-off. Eccleston does the fielding, they're going to come through for a single. Green moves to 34, 81 for 2.
So out, you're in.
I'm in. I've not been listening. I don't know what you're talking about, but if it's to do with ice cream, let's be honest, I'm there.
Would you have bought one today from an ice cream bike had it been there?
Yes, I'd have bought an ice cream from anyone if they were selling ice cream today.
Charlie Dean in again, driven, and this is to mid-off again. Sophie Eccleston quick to it, a dot ball. I feel like we were on the march, weren't we? Alex and Georgia Elwis and Amber and myself were hunting for an ice cream, and there was just nothing.
We've been let down.
As Dean into Satterthwaite again, chipped up, and that's a bump ball. She's done it again, Alex. She's done it again to me. 81 for 2. That's one of those crowd catches that I fell for as well in the commentary position. As Charlie Dean sends long on back now. Kate Cross out onto the boundary. Satterthwaite in, and that's punched up to that long on, and Satterthwaite will get a single. She'll move to 31 off 50, 82 for 2. Alex, ice cream. Is 99 flake the ultimate ice cream, or you've got an ice cream van, you've got any to choose from? Like you've got a knobbly bobbly, you've got a Solero. What are you going for?
The double 99. So 2 ice creams, 2 flakes in one. That's my go-to.
Flake in either ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone follows Alex on social media, we've seen numerous of those. Henry usually goes for the one though, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, we like to make it out like I'm the pig and he's not.
Well, we won't make any comments on that. But maybe we should get a BBC 5 Live Sports Extra ice cream bike.
I'm in. I said I'm in. Phil can ride it. I ain't riding that anywhere.
We've got more correspondence on ice cream bikes.
Have we got any volunteers to ride it? As Catherine Brunt comes back into the attack from the Bennett end. She'll be bowling to the left-handed Satterthwaite. Heather Knight going to a strike bowler. She senses the wicket's important here as Brunt in she comes to Satterthwaite, and that's turned into mid-wicket. They're going to come through for a quick single. Tash Farrant shies at the bowler's end, makes it comfortably, and worryingly Brunt's just holding her back here. I hope that's not because she's injured, more frustration. 83 for 2.
Nicholas Short has been in touch. He's probably solved the problem. Well, we think it's a problem of keeping the ice cream cold and frozen. He says liquid nitrogen will keep your ice cream frozen. No need for extra power.
Phil, do you have any of that spare?
Well, these are just, we need to look into this.
I feel like this has got out of hand.
Brunt into green, that's pushed into the offside. Vino run. I feel like it has got out of hand. If Alex, out of anyone, is trying to get us serious and back onto cricket, then we do need to get back onto the cricket. It's 83 for 2 at Leicester.
Do you know what it is? It's because I've not been involved and I feel left out, so I missed I didn't miss a commentary stint. It just wasn't my turn to be on when the ice cream chat started.
So it's jealousy, really, Alex.
I am extremely jealous.
179 needed to win as Catherine Brunt into green. That's played back down the pitch, and she fake throws. Some frustration there from Catherine Brunt. 83 for 2. We see this from Brunt, doesn't she? She wants to get the batters fired up with her.
Yeah, she does. She's an aggressive player. She's so competitive. She wears a heart on her sleeve. She celebrates every wicket like it's the first one she's ever got. She's a real fiery character.
Brunt then from the Bennett end, coming in as the sun sets to our right. She bowls, and that's cut away down to third man. Sophie Eccleston comes round and does the fielding. Just be a single.
Maybe then to close the ice cream bike chat, Robert Cannell has been in touch. He says, ice cream bikes, this is 2021. Ice cream drones are for the future.
Oh.
That would be good for us here. We're up high in the commentary box. We could have one just fly up
straight
to us.
In, yeah.
Through the window. This Brunt into Satterthwaite. That's played back down the pitch. Respect, senior player to senior player.
So this conversation started with me looking to make 1 or 2 extra pennies with an ice cream bike, and now we're into ice cream drones.
Well, you need a licence to drive a drone.
Oh, no.
Don't worry, my brother has one.
Oh, here we go.
So here we go. We might have to rope in an extra.
Well, to be fair, if we had a bike, we needed someone to ride it, so we need a drone driver now. As in comes Brunt to Satterthwaite. That's driven to Heather Knight over at extra cover. Mid-off comes round. Knight can't get there, so it's a single. And green moves to 36, 85 for 2 New Zealand. England really fighting here to get themselves back in this game. This is a rare position of comfort for New Zealand in their batting lineup. Green and Satterthwaite here, both in the 30s. They don't want to be giving England a sniff.
No, yeah, the run rate that they're going at is 3.7. The required is 3.5. So England actually won't be too disappointed with where the game's at, because they know one more wicket here, and you can try and push that run rate up to 4s and 5s as quickly as you can, and then 5s quickly turns into 6s. So although this looks all so easy for New Zealand at the minute, you almost feel like they need a big over to really put them in the driving seat.
Charlie Dean into Satterthwaite, who advances. That's gone up in the air. Is this the wicket? Yes, it is! Charlie Dean gets the left-handed Satterthwaite. Sophie Eccleston takes the catch. She's gone for 33, 85 for 3.
Yeah, it's Amy Satterthwaite there just looking at the toe end of her bat. She's not happy with that shot. She was looking to hit the ball up and over Sophie Eccleston to try and push mid-on and mid-off back so she can take the easy option, hit the ball down the ground. But she just hasn't got hold of that one and chips it straight to Sophie Eccleston at mid-off. And a simple catch for Sophie Eccleston, and Amy Satterthwaite, she's got to go. And that's a key wicket for England.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think if England now can get Devine quickly, we could see that similar situation that we saw becomes a lot of pressure on that middle order. Can they see their team home? But New Zealand will be comfortable as Sophie Devine strides to the crease. She looks like she means business. She was out there quickly, and it's an important job for her today. Averaging 31 for New Zealand in ODI cricket. She'll be needing those runs today, if not more. But an important breakthrough for Charlie Dean again.
Yeah, Charlie Dean in the wickets again. She's made her debut the first game of this series in the ODI series, and she's been fantastic ever since, picking up 4 for in the last game. Just having the breakthrough there. It was a real key partnership between Green and Satterthwaite, and she's managed to break that partnership. Captain Heather Knight keeping her on. Although she's going at just over 4 and over, she trusted her off spinner to the left-hander.
There's Dean in, and that's driven out to the covers. Will just be a single. Dunkley does the fielding out there. 86 for 3. Green moves to 36, and you also feel that Green's innings now becomes that little bit more important, doesn't it? With her being the set batter in, they need someone to tick along.
Yeah, if Green can just keep rotating the strike, going as she's going, you've got the powerful Sophie Devine, who is at the crease with her, who is capable of taking apart any bowling attack on her day.
There's Dean into Devine, quicker delivery. Ratcher on the pad, they're appealing, but turns away. That was going down the leg side.
Yeah, Devine, lucky that one was going down the leg side. She's looked to shovel it into the onside, but hasn't got anything of it, playing back and across to a fullish delivery.
Long on, back to Devine, which shows you what a quality player is. They're not risking her up as she bowls. That's full delivery, and that's just driven straight to Eccleston at long on. Devine gets off the mark. She moves to a single, 87 for 3. And that battle in the second ODI between Dean and Devine was really heating up, and then we had the rain break and we didn't see it again. So Devine will be looking to take on Dean, but Dean comes into Green, and that's forward in defence. Will be no run. 87 for 3. Top ball pressure builds as well. Watches that run rate climb. Still ahead of it, New Zealand, but we know a few wickets will change that. There's Charlie Dean in again outside the off stump, just cut away out to the cover sweeper. Sophia Dunkley there. They're going to come back for a couple. The throw comes in, but they make it comfortably. Great running from the skipper, Sophie Devine. Green moves to 38. 89 for 3, New Zealand.
Yeah, great running that from Sophie Devine. Green was just happy with the 1, but Sophie Devine pushed her, said you got to go through to 2. And they make it quite comfortably in the end, and that just shows the experience that Devine has got. Green was happy with the 1, but Devine said no, if there's 2, we're having 2. You know, we're going to get these runs as quickly as we can.
Yeah, so the 3 wickets gone for New Zealand. Suzie Bates was bowled by Catherine Brunt for 5. Lauren Down caught by Tammy Beaumont at point of the bowling of Catherine Brunt for 7. And now Amy Satterthwaite caught at mid-on by mid-off at the bowling of Charlie Dean. But Brunt, that strike bowler, into the attack again. She'll be wanting to get this Devine wicket as she comes in and bowls, and that's pulled to mid-wicket from outside the off stump. She means business here, does Devine. This is a battle for everyone to watch here at Leicestershire.
It is indeed 2 world-class players. Sophie Devine, we know what she is capable of. We saw her in a T20 game down at Chelmsford. She was unbelievable with the bat. She can just get herself in here.
Brunt starts her run up, comes in again to Devine. That's in defence, good respect, and Brunt gives her that stare.
The Brunt death stare.
I almost think as a batter, how do you react? I bet some just laugh back at her, some always don't want to make eye contact. What would you do, Alex?
I'd say grow up and get to the top of your mark. I'm number 11. You're going to get me out in a minute. Just keep going. But Shafali Verma, we all love that battle in the England-India series, and Shafali Verma just used to laugh at Catherine Brunt.
As she comes in again to Devine, that's pushed into the offside. They're going to think about a single, not going to get one. Tammy Beaumont just gives the ball back to the captain, Heather Knight. 89 for 3. The sun now setting to our right. The floodlights are on here at Leicestershire. It's a lovely evening for international cricket. Yes, not a high-scoring game, but we've got a game on.
We have indeed.
And Catherine Brunt, she starred with the bat with a 49 not out. She wants to star with the ball too. She comes into Devine. That's driven. That's an inside edge. Tash Farrant does a diving stop at mid-wicket. England in the field have been exceptional all series. We know they set their standards in the field. They're certainly delivering.
Yeah, they do. They've got a real strong fielding unit of England. They all hunt the ball. They're all after the ball. They all want it in their hands. And there isn't a fielder on this pitch that you have to hide. And I think that's a really important place to be at, and really handy as an international side.
Brunt right arm over into Devine in defence again. Charlie Dean picks up the ball at mid-off. Another dot ball. 5 dot balls so far this over. Maddie Green comes and has a chat with her captain, Sophie Devine. And I guess Devine would be happy with this. She knows that Brunt's the strike bowler. She knows that she can catch up later on. She won't be in a rush to get these runs. But in comes Catherine Brunt to Devine, and that's in defence again. Played up to mid-off. They think about a single. Devine's halfway up the pitch and not making any moves of coming back. That's the end of the over. Maiden over by Brunt. She's bowled 7 overs for 17, 2 maidens and 2 wickets.
Yeah, brilliant over that from Catherine Brunt. Just showing we talked about her getting better and better, and she's done that. Constantly putting the pressure on these New Zealand batters.
So we're at the halfway stage, 89 for 3 and changing commentary position.
You almost feel like the Maddie Green's played a fantastic hand here and stuck around batting at number 3, but Devine, it all lies on Devine. If she can get runs, if she can start finding the boundary, then it's New Zealand's game.
Hello, Alex. Yep, here is Dean again. Down the leg side, that one, and gathered by the keeper, but wide will be signalled. It's a little wayward, pushing it across the batter. 89 for 3. I'm tangled up.
That was so smooth to say you've got yourself in a pickle.
The wire has caught round the chair leg.
That's years of experience, that, Ellie Mitchell.
On with the button, on with the commentary. Dean over the wicket, used the feet, and then just a little adjustment. Worked into the onside, and a dot ball. Maddie Green, 38 from 57. Slip in place there as well. England know they've got to get wickets, haven't they? It's such urgency.
Yeah, they know if they can get one of these 2 out, they're in with a chance of winning this game.
But New Zealand only chasing a small total, and there's use of the feet, but only as far as Eccleston at mid-on. He's already taken one comfortable catch. Another had gone over her head. She leapt, didn't she? Fingers high in the sky. That one went over, but the second chance she got straight down her throat to give Charlie Dean her first wicket of this match.
Yeah, soft dismissal that by Amy Satterthwaite's standards, just chipping it to mid-off.
Green steadying herself, taking her time here, making Dean wait. She skips up to the stumps again, bowls outside the off stump, flights one, is stroked out through the vacant cover region, brings Sophia Dunkley in off the boundary. She fields, and a single is taken. One bounced into the gloves of Amy Jones. Floodlights are on now. It's just been a gorgeous evening. There's some very sort of light cloud, like cirrus light cloud on the horizon as the sun's getting a little more hazy in the distance and the ground almost in complete shadow as Dean is in. Forward, pushed up to mid-off by Sophie Devine. Finds cross and there's no run.
Yeah, it's been a lovely day. I've had my sunglasses on all day, but now the sun's actually setting. But I had to take them off.
But you didn't find an ice cream.
Didn't find an ice cream.
Dean in outside the off stump. Carved away to point. Sophia Dunkley making up some ground on the cover boundary. Does well, gets there, sends the ball back into the middle, and then 2 runs are added by New Zealand. She was fielding at cover, had to make some ground across to her left-hand side in front of the traditional scoreboard, the black and white scoreboard with the clock on the top, which I love seeing at cricket grounds still.
I like a traditional scoreboard.
I mean, love the electronic ones, gives you so much more data, but it's just the look of it, isn't it?
I like this one at, is it North Sydney Oval?
Oh yeah, that's a cracker. As Dean in again into the onside, timed that one, fielded no run.
It was actually at that ground that Sophie Eccleston asked if she'd be able to take her name home from the scoreboard.
Brilliant.
But
how was she going to carry that home?
She didn't think that through, but she just said, that's class. Do you reckon I'll be able to take my name back on the scoreboard? I was like, you do realise that will be bigger than your suitcase, because it will be a large
a bit tricky even just getting in a taxi to the airport, you'd have thought, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You're putting it on the roof. And then when you get there, what are check-in going to say? Like, we weigh your luggage? It's not even going to fit on the carousel.
No. So we told her, don't be so ridiculous, you can't take that home.
Can you imagine being in arrivals at Heathrow and then sort of out of the wall comes this huge, long...
Eccleston sign.
It's going to struggle going around the bends of the luggage rack, isn't it? That was the end of the 26th over. 93 for 3. New Zealand are chasing 179 to win here and get their first win of the series. Green awaits Catherine Brunt from the Bennett end of the ground, and that's beaten. Green, it's on 39, stays there into the gloves of Amy Jones just outside off stump. She took some pace off that one, Catherine Brunt.
Yeah, Green almost played a nothing shot there, just trying to work the ball down to deep third region, but didn't try and hit it and didn't really try and do all much with it. So very close to being out there for Green.
Brunt at the end of her mark again as Amy Jones is standing up to the stumps. Outwards on middle stump, really targeting those stumps. Green having to come forward and defend, and she does so solidly as Catherine Brunt fields. Score remains 93 for 3. I have good memories of the North Sydney Oval and calling England's World Cup win in 2009.
Yes.
What a day that was. It really started something for England, didn't it? And then coming home for the English summer and winning the T20 World Cup in the same year. Brunt is in, sided away in front of points. Green able to take a single out to the deep. White comes in off the boundary, sends the ball back into the middle. And amazing to think, Catherine Brunt front and centre of the 2009 team, and still looking now at going to another World Cup in New Zealand in 2022.
I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't she? And the fact that she's still getting better and better as well. She's still working on a game, working on her fitness. Still England's best bowler.
It's absolute sort of hunger, isn't it, to just keep improving, keep working. Brunt in boulder, top of middle stump. Catherine Brunt is down on one knee, doing the old fist pump. And she gets rid of the New Zealand captain. She loves taking wickets. That's why she's still playing the game. A little jig in celebration now as Danny Wyatt comes running in from the boundary to celebrate. Divine's gone for 3. And yet, New Zealand are the ones chasing a small target here. But England have got their 4th wicket, 94 for 4.
Well, we were just saying how good Catherine Brunt is. She's getting better and better with age. Sophie Devine looking to pull that into the leg side, and it hits the top of middle stump. Catherine Brunt with an almighty fist pump down on one knee. She absolutely loved it, and she knows that that's England. They're in with a sniff of winning this game. They've dismissed Satterthwaite, Devine and Bates, the 3 key batters for New Zealand. So it brings in Brooke Halliday.
Well, you just never know, do you? And New Zealand will have the jitters given how the Worcester game panned out. All out for 169, remember. Brooke Halliday, then it's Katie Martin. And then you're getting down into the bowlers. And remember, there's a debutante as well. Nervous times could be indeed for Penfold if she's required towards the sticky end of a short run chase.
Yeah, they'll be hoping that the number 11 isn't needed, but we've got Green and Halliday here, and we were talking about how dangerous Devine is when she gets in. She faced 12 deliveries for her 3 before being dismissed just then by Catherine Brunt, so they've almost got to rebuild again now to New Zealand, and Halliday and Green can take their time. They only need 3.4 runs per over.
Yep, 85 more needed. They've got 23.2 overs to get them in, so plenty of time left. But it's a matter of the wickets and how much can England stay on the attack here. So Halliday, the new batter. Catherine Brunt is tinkering her field, asking fine leg to come a little bit finer. Deep third back on the boundary as well. Beaumont's there at backward point. Catherine Brunt's got 3 wickets now to add to the 49 not out earlier. And it was the 50-run partnership with her and Kate Cross that gave England a hope, a chance. Outside the off stump, rather foxing. I think Halliday went forward to go for a big drive. Only really toe-end it into the ground out towards backward point.
Yeah, we're talking about how good Catherine Brunt is, but I don't think we can look past Heather Knight's captaincy to bring Brunt back on at this situation, and knowing that they need wickets to win this game, and knowing that if you bring your strike bowler back on, she's got one job, and that's to take wickets, and she's done exactly that.
She's steaming in again. Around the wicket she goes. She's targeting that off stump. She manages to get a bat down, Halliday. And out to Heather Knight in that cover region. Well, Catherine Brunt doing it again for England. She did it with the bat. 3 wickets now with the ball at the end of that over. New Zealand 94 for 4 in pursuit of 179.
Yeah, Catherine Brunt, we said she was bristling with anger early on. She missed out on that 50. Well, it certainly paid off in her bowling. 8 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 18.
Wow, that's some figures. Still got 2 overs to go.
Still got 2 overs to go. We've seen a 5 for already in this game from Leah Tahuhu.
Yeah, fabulous effort that was, wasn't it? First time she's managed a 5-fer in all of her career. Been such an absolute trooper for New Zealand cricket. 71 ODIs before this series for Tahuhu, 30 years of age, and now a 5-fer to her name. Charlie Dean continuing. Maddie Green's on 40 here, flighting one up outside the off stump, nearly taking Halliday's head off at the non-striker's end with a chip drive down to long on. Sophie Eccleston sweeps up in front of the boundary rope below us, and they take one. Now, is that an apology? Sorry for nearly taking your head off.
I think so. Brooke Halliday ended up sitting on the floor before being able to scramble to the other end for a single.
Managed to get up and compose herself pretty well there in the end. 95 for 4 in this 28th over. Halliday then, yet to score. Slip in place for Dean. She's stroking out to the offside. Fielded by Wyatt. Fires the ball back in towards Amy Jones. Just a little bit more of a chill in the air now. The sun sinks. Now you know it's September.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell you, Alex, but there's quite a few daddy long legs lurking outside the door of the commentary box. Just waiting for you to finish your spell. Dean is forward, as is Halliday, who defends into the offside, no run.
I actually had to come inside before because there was too many wasps around and they were attracted to my pink dress. I had to sit inside behind Phil Long in the score room.
Wasps are worse than daddy longlegs is. Going back this time, cutting in front of point out to the cover boundary. I mean, I don't mind a crane fly, really.
Yeah.
They're kind of friendly.
But wasps?
No. Definitely not.
This is the moment as well where I regret bringing a coat because you can feel the September chill in the air.
Definitely. We've got the window open, which has been glorious all day. Dean in again, dragging that one down a touch. It's turned around the corner by Green. And it could be 4. It's trickling towards the boundary. It's a hugely long chase here for that Catherine Brunt running across from the deep mid-wicket boundary. It is. She's covered about a quarter of the ground, and this is a big outfield, as you know, a big playing area at Grace Road. And they came back for 2, 99 for 4, with one more ball to come in this, so 3. One more ball to come in this 28th over. And Halliday on strike. And the pause is because Catherine Brunt has got to jog a quarter of the way back around the ground to her fielding position at deep mid-wicket.
I mean, she did incredibly well there, did Catherine Brunt.
I mean, she sprinted around the wicket. Dean, defence from Halliday. And Danny Wyatt scampering from her position at short cover to field. End of the over, 28 gone. New Zealand 99 for 4, chasing 179. Yeah, not only had she batted earlier, 98 balls for a 49 not out. She's been bowling, she's taken 3 wickets, and now she's sprinted a quarter of the way around the ground. She's put in a good shift.
She has put in a great shift, and the ball just slightly going uphill towards that boundary, so there's always one where you have to chase everything down, and she's done exactly that. Saved her team 1 run.
She did. See you in a moment, Alex. So, Maddie Green, 44 not out. New Zealand looking to her to try and get them over the line here. They are only 80 runs away. England have got an awful lot of work to do to take 6 more wickets and prevent them getting over the line. But I think just given the form of New Zealand, they'll always feel they've got a sniff.
Yeah, when Izzy was on earlier, we were talking about the psychology of winning and losing. I think if you're a team that wins, I think Australia would think only 80 more. Yeah. And New Zealand might think another 80.
I'm sitting in the latter camp when it comes to New Zealand perspective. I really am. I just think with the wickets that we've already seen, Satterthwaite gone, she was key in the middle. That shot from Sophie Devine, it was horrid. Swipe across the line.
Yep, wonderful from Brunt though, right on target. It's like the off stump this time. It's eased out towards point, finds a fielder though and no run. But you should be defending that.
Yeah, that's it.
Keeping that out.
The shot that Devine played in the situation of the match as it is not one of I need to build slowly and stay here at the end. That was, what do I do? And Devine's a hugely capable player. She's one of the best in the world. I love watching her. She's hit me for so many sixes in the past.
There's just no need for New Zealand to force this, is there? Yorker from Kate Cross, who's replaced Catherine Brunt now, dug out to deep mid-wicket where Sophia Dunkley is fielding, throws it back into Jones. I mean, New Zealand can pace it and pace it comfortably. So New Zealand 100 comes up in the 29th over. So only another 79 needed for them to win. Whether they see it like that?
Yeah, and that's the worry, I think. If you think about Satterthwaite and Green, I thought the partnership was brilliant, 73 runs between them. But who else has that mindset of we can do this, but we need to do it slowly, patiently?
Around the wicket for Cross. This is squirted away down towards fine leg. Eccleston is fielding there. Scoops up and they're able to run 1. And so Green on to 45.
One thing that New Zealand do have is that substituting Hannah Rowe for Hayley Jensen. Jensen's a very good batter, very mature.
She has opened, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's batted all over.
Yeah.
And she's a very handy all-rounder for New Zealand.
She was opening when Suzie Bates was away having a shoulder operation. Crossover, the wicket to the right-hander. Forward comes Green, strokes it up to Heather Knight at short extra cover. No run.
I played quite a lot against Jensen out in Australia for a couple of years when she was in between her New Zealand phases. So she'd been dropped from the setup after, I think, 7 or 8 matches, and then built her way back in, playing club cricket and then playing in the WBBL in Australia before coming back into the New Zealand fold and really sort of stealing up all the different disciplines and gaining some experience.
Cross into Green, full, dug out up to mid-off, think about a single, but straight to the fielder, and there's no run, and the throw's almost taken out the batter as she's scrambled to get back inside her ground. Do you think, does Jensen, would she pride herself on being an all-rounder?
Yes, for glue kind of, yeah, absolutely, in both disciplines. She's one of those really irritating players, is that when you look at her and you look at her game, she doesn't often take the sort of the mantle. She's not the 5-wicket haul or the century or half century. She's the chipping in and around, but invariably very useful.
Always having an impact. Cross racing in past the umpire. He's bowling well, sort of on target here, really targeting the stumps. Green able to dig that one out again in front of middle stump into the onside. Fielded by Dean to end the over. So 29 are gone. And New Zealand are 101 for 4. The target 179. Wasp, I can see a Wasp on the scoreboard. That's a win indicator, isn't it? Which has 79%. But it doesn't indicate in favour of which team. Presuming it just gives a percentage.
For a moment
not altogether helpful.
You said you saw a Wasp on the scoreboard.
Well, there have been some.
My immediate thought was, your eyesight is good.
Well, Alex Hartley's been talking about Wasps. She's been running away from them all evening. 78 needed to win. And New Zealand 101 for 4. I'm going to have a bit more Sophie Eccleston then in place of Charlie Dean. Eccleston's figures, what they've been so far, Phil?
Just the one spell, 6 overs for 17 runs.
So yet to take a wicket in the innings.
But frugal.
Exactly.
Difficult to get away.
So often isn't she, the control. Well, the comparison in terms of the runs, absolutely level, 29 overs, but England was 7 down. They had 53-run partnership for the 9th wicket between Catherine Brunt and Kate Cross. England were 78 for 7. Here is Eccleston. Left over, swept by Halliday. Down to the fine leg boundary for 4. Well, nothing that Sophia Dunkley could do to cut that off. She tried to make chase from deep square leg, but that's just been gently helped around the corner. First ball, Eccleston's over.
Yeah, I must say, I do find it quite curious putting Eccleston at this stage, in particular with a left-hander who's the vulnerable one. Halliday there on 6, Green on 45. I'd almost be tempted to get a Heather Knight or even bowl Charlie Dean through, get somebody to get Halliday out first.
Eccleston in, forward, Halliday to mid-on, no run.
And then
worry about Green.
And then worry about Green and get Eccleston in sort of towards the back end, because at the moment I worry that this is wasting quite valuable Eccleston overs.
Turning the ball into the left-hander, drops that one shorter, carved out towards point and misfield. They think about a single but decide against it, and Danny White is there to pick up. Beaumont saved a run, certainly. Catherine Brunt lurking behind her at deep mid-wicket, who we saw run quarter of the way around the ground a moment ago to save a boundary.
Kate Cross is bowling at the minute, but Tash Farrant has also got 6 overs left.
Here goes Eccleston straight from Fuller, defended, getting down low in front of the stumps. Sorry, Farrant has 6 overs left.
Yeah, both Cross and Farrant have got 6 overs left.
Plenty to play with, but I mean, not many runs for England to play with. That's the problem with a small target. A little shorter outside the off stump, chopped into the ground, hasn't travelled very far across the square. Danny White falls forward, underarms the ball towards Amy Jones. They've been able to scamper 1, and New Zealand move on to 106 for 4. One more ball to come in this 30th over from Eccleston. England were all out for 178 inside the 49th over. Catherine Brunt top scoring with 49, not out. The top order, they're blown away by Leah Tahuhu, and then debutant Molly Penfold, 20-year-old. So Tahuhu 5 for 37. Slip moves out to short third, driving out towards deep cover through the gap between point and cover, and Dunkley's there to field. Another one is taken. New Zealand can comfortably get these in ones. They don't have to force anything. The 30 overs are gone. New Zealand 107 for 4, with Maddie Green going well on 46, Halliday on 7. And Emily Windsor is about to come in after a few words from Phil Long.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned it today. We mentioned it the other day. It's 5 times now that England have batted first in 2021, and 5 times they've been bowled all out and failed to complete their full 50 over allotment.
Yeah, not a great stat that from an England perspective, and one that I'm sure a lot of opposition teams will latch onto, as New Zealand have in this series so far. They've won the toss on 3 occasions, and on 3 occasions they've inserted England. That is the right way to go about things with this England side. Talking about New Zealand though, Maddie Green, they're on 46. It's a highest score against England.
It's cross into Green. That's cut away nicely. Down to the third man boundary. Eccleston has work to do, but she does it well. Keeps it to a single. Green to 47. 108 for 4.
It's a really important innings for Green, both for her team but also herself as well. There have been a few question marks hanging around her position in this team.
Yeah, it's her highest score in ODI cricket, other than those 2 scores against Ireland, which always have a very slight asterisk against them.
I don't know if you can say that, but
Cross to left-handed. Halliday cut, and he finds Tammy Beaumont at point.
the way I say it is that it's her highest score against the top 8 nations.
Yeah.
That's where the ICC rankings go down to.
For anyone who wonders why we might be putting a sort of a star against that score, New Zealand scored 400 in all 3 times they batted first and won all 3 games by more than 300 runs.
We'll leave it at that. This is a couple of years ago.
Cross in again to the left-hander in defence. Charlie Dean at extra cover. Comes across and lets Lauren Winfield-Hill do the fielding.
That was the same series that Amelia Kerr, who's better known for her spin bowling, scored a double century and some against Ireland.
Hundreds in that series as well for Maddie Green, as we just mentioned, and Lee Kasperick, who batted at number 11, I think, in the first ODI here in this series.
Cross from the Bennett end to Halliday. That's pushed into the leg side. No run. Knight quick to it and thinks about throwing at the bowler's end, but she doesn't. Top ball pressure from England.
But apart from those innings, I think Maddie Green has had 32 innings against the top 8 nations, and the highest she's got, I think, was a 46 against South Africa quite a few years back now as well, 5 years back in 2016. Otherwise, it's been a string of single digits, 20s, 30s.
Cross to Halliday, defence again. Same result. Lauren Winfield-Hill does the fielding. 108 for 4.
That's right. Even with those 2 scores against Ireland, she was only averaging 18.66 before today. Take away those 2 scores, 14.32 in her 34 innings for New Zealand so far.
There's a number 3.
Yeah.
You'd be questioning that. But today, I think she's looked good. She's not given any chances. And she's played comfortably against a good England bowling attack. As crossing again to Halliday, driven through the offside. Dunkley does the fielding. Just a single. Halliday will keep the strike. She moves to 8. 109 for 4 England. New Zealand chasing England's 179 to win.
I really enjoyed that partnership between Satterthwaite and Green. It felt as though they were almost reassuring each other. A very comforting presence, rotating the strike, and that was the time when you thought, this is how New Zealand are going to approach this is how they should approach it. Before, Charlie Dean, on the back of her forfer, she sort of became the golden eye, the partnership breaker. She bowled really well.
Yeah, and I think for me, knowing Charlie, she's looked more comfortable and relaxed, obviously, from an impressive performance. She just seems to be in her rhythm. She's using her different variations as an off spinner. There's Eccleston in, and that's driven to Charlie Dean at mid-off, will be no run. She just seems to be settled in, which you'd expect, wouldn't you? A big thing making your England debut.
No, it's worked out really nicely for her when you think about getting that first wicket in the first match. That's certainly a big one, settle the nerves then, and to come in and have a crucial role in the second.
Eccleston in, that's driven up and over. That's going 1 bounce for 4, and that's 4 runs to Halliday. 12 for her now, 113 for 4. Eccleston has bowled 7.2 overs so far, 27 runs, and the sunset to our right. It's looking lovely, and Phil's getting its camera out, taking a picture.
Who says men can't multitask, eh?
Either that or he's not listening to us. Eccleston into Halliday, this time pushed out to the cover sweeper. Good batting from her. Brunt does the fielding out there. It's just a single.
I'm very lucky I can multitask, but I couldn't have picked up the microphone and taken the photo at the same time. So
because you are not Inspector Gadget.
Exactly. I was listening but couldn't respond.
I like it that way.
Yeah, keep taking the photos, Phil. As Eccleston sends back long on to Green. Green's 47 not out. 71 balls she's faced. But she's got the job of seeing her team home as Eccleston in, and that's in defence. She thinks about a quick single that she gets halfway. They say no. Tammy Beaumont with a loopy throw over the bowler. That should have been a run-out chance, and that's disappointing from Tammy Beaumont. But after that, a dot ball, 114 for 4, and Halliday, you'd say, has a life there. Eccleston in again, this time driven, and Brunt dives over it at cover. They shy at the bowler's end, but they come through for a quick single. Green to 48, and batters looking eye to eye there. I think that may have been another mix-up or miscommunication with calling, but they don't need a run out here.
Yeah, just a reminder to each other that if you're going to run straight away, call hard, can't afford any of the sloppiness.
Eccleston to Halliday, driven out to the cover sweeper again. Catherine Brunt's got work to do here as she was right on the boundary rope. She comes round and they come back from 2. Good batting by Halliday, manipulating the field. Sheer move to 15, 117 for 4. 32 overs gone then. New Zealand require 179 to win. They've still got a little way to go, but 4 wickets down, chasing this total. They should make it comfortably. But
they should, in theory. It's all sort of, in theory on paper, it's sort of very easy, isn't it? 3.5 runs for over. These 2 in. Maddie Green looking well. Brooke Halliday, I've been like, lovely stroke play through the covers just now. Anything over pitch, anything wide, capitalising upon it. But that's also, when you're concentrating so hard on your batting, sometimes you forget about the surroundings, and that's what we're seeing here with the run-out chances. But maybe for New Zealand, those near misses is quite a good thing. It's sort of a reminder, right? Knuckle down, remember what we need to do. Stay calm.
Kate Cross coming in from the Bennett end to Green bowls, and that's cut straight to Tammy Beaumont at point. She thinks about shying overarm this time to the bowler's end, but holds the ball in the hand. 117 for 4. Kate Cross yet to pick up a wicket. She's bowled 5.1 overs now, 20 runs. So not been expensive.
No, but we saw her get those 3 wickets top of the order in the last match. She bowled really well, back of her leg, kept her line, very disciplined.
Cross in again to Green, again in defence, finds Heather Knight at extra cover. Again, no run.
And there have just been a few balls on occasion here that have been a little bit wider. And with this pitch, it's just running down quite nicely. It's very easy to cut them away. Fast outfield, and we saw that earlier in the innings off the bat of Maddie Green. In fact, 2 boundaries and 2 overs that were lovely strokes, flat batting it towards cover point.
Big playing surface here at Leicester as Cross in, that's cut, but only again finds Tammy Beaumont at her chest, but it stops the runs. Another dot ball.
Yeah, this is better from Cross. I think she's enjoying bowling down the hill, bowling from the Bennett end. She's been bowling before from the Pavilion end. It's hard work. When you look at the New Zealand wickets to get England out, I think 7 of the 9 bowling wickets were from the Bennett end, and the only 2 that weren't, I think, were spin.
They were Lee Casrick. As in comes Cross again, and they're appealing for LBW. That looked as though it was going down leg side. Jones then throws it at the stumps for a run out, and they come through for a single. So it's not going to be an LBW. They're going to come through for a leg bye. I think Sue Redfern has signalled.
No, I don't think she has.
Well, they're waiting for the DRS timer, the review timer.
She doesn't want to give it away. Is she going to signal like, well, yes, she is now. That was hilarious. So the DRS timer was running down, and she didn't want to have to sort of say it was a leg bye, because then England would have known that it couldn't possibly be an LBW. Bit of a poker face on there from
the way she was stood though. You sense there was some kind of signal which would suggest it wasn't off the bat, but Cross in, and that's hit her on the pad again, but just run out to the offside, a dot ball. Tammy Beaumont there at point, making point her own now. She does a very good job in there. 118 for 4, 179 needed to win. England 178 all out. So the third time, obviously this is the third ODI, New Zealand have bowled England out all 3 games. It's been their strength, but they need to see the team over the line with the bats. Cross in, and that's Ractor on the pad again, will be no run. That's the end of the over. 33 overs gone, 118 for 4. Halliday 15 not out. Maddie Green 48, and a maiden over for Kate Cross. I think that will be drinks.
It will indeed. So yes, the leg bye off that over. crosses figures now, going at just 3 and a bit runs per over. No wickets yet. 20 runs conceded from her 6 overs. Maddie Green, the key to success, you'd imagine, for New Zealand. 48 from 77. Halliday has been supporting her really nicely, actually, coming in at number 6. 15 from 23.
And this drinks break may bring something for England. Usually a pause in play. We saw it in the first innings, didn't we? When
yes,
Eccleston went first ball after drinks.
Well, it was after both drinks breaks. We had a first ball wicket fall. So I think it was Jones first up, and then it was Eccleston after the second drinks break. So yes, England will be hoping for something to reciprocate. Whether it will happen or not is another question.
118 for 4 then. The sun really is setting, and it's getting a little bit chilly now, which you'd expect in September.
We're going to start having sort of tussles about whether we should close the window or not. I think that'll be coming up. It's one of those commentary boxes that, when the sun's beaming down, it could be greenhouse. But when that sun just dips over, especially in September, I can imagine a few coats going on around the crowd, a bit of movement getting there, maybe getting a hot drink in at this time of the evening as well.
Yep, both umpires have moved on to their winter coats now. Look, they're just wrapping up for this last 17 overs.
So 61 to win then, New Zealand. Maddie Green, 48 not out, 77 balls she's faced. Halliday, 15 not out. The 4 wickets that have gone. Suzie Bates was bowled by Catherine Brunt for 5. Lauren Down again off the bowling of Catherine Brunt, caught at point by Tammy Beaumont for 7. Amy Satterthwaite off the bowling of Dean, caught at mid-off by Sophie Eccleston for 33. Good innings though from her. And then again, Sophie Devine, the captain, the big wicket, bowled by Catherine Brunt, and what a celebration that was. We saw from her on one knee, a lot of fist pumps, but would we expect anything less? She was gone for 3.
Yeah, that celebration I think kind of reflected England's thinking. The last 2 times they've lost to New Zealand, they lost out earlier in the year in Dunedin. Amy Satterthwaite scored an unbeaten 100 to get them home, and the last time New Zealand won an away game was here at Grace Road, and it was 100 from Sophie Devine to win the game for New Zealand.
Remember that, it was a scorchingly hot day in a very dry outfield. Things were racing away off the bat a few years ago over here in Grace Road. The New Zealand batters are back and ready. They want to get on with things. England are still just regrouping, having a chat, discussion about how they're going to, they're not going to restrict them if the overs get played out, so they won't want 17 remaining. They'll want those 6 wickets, and they'll want them quickly.
It looks like we're going to see Tash Farrant coming into the attack from the pavilion end. She just did a warm-up bowl through, sorting out the bun as they usually do. There's a seamer. 118 for 4, Tash Farrant. I don't know if you've got the bowling figures for us, Phil, of how she's bowled so far, if he's listening to us to the right. I think he's ignoring us.
Sensible man.
Here we go, they're on the screen for me. 4 overs for 16.
Apologies, I'm just looking at my phone. I had about 3 messages saying Catherine Brunt looks absolutely fuming. And I thought, wow.
Doesn't she always?
I know, that's what I was.
We'd be worried
what's
if she
unusual,
wasn't.
yeah.
Maybe the close-ups and television camera had picked up a few particular grimaces.
There is one that I will share as Tash Farrant gets her field right. Darren Gough, have you seen when he ran into bowl and stuck his tongue out?
Yes, yeah.
I feel like we've all seen that. Well, early on in the innings to Suzie Bates when Catherine Brunt was running in, she did the same as Farrant in, and that's turned to mid-wicket, will be no run. So that shows you she's fired up.
Rather feel that when she does cross that boundary rope that she is always fired up, and that's no bad thing whatsoever. The gentlest of characters, you think about the Dale Stone when he retired, and the sort of the discussion about his white line fever.
Certainly has that as Farrant in, and that's pushed into the offside by Green. She'll come through for a single. She'll move to 49. 119 for 4. We've seen 149 already today. Catherine Brunt was 49 not out. Left hanging.
Hence why she looked fuming.
Yes, well, there you go. Still carrying that over deep into the second innings.
But as a batter, if someone sticks your tongue out, will that put you off?
I'd imagine you're not probably looking at their tongue.
Farrant in, and that's played back to her. be no run. I don't think I would be, but
No, of course you wouldn't be. Come on, look at it. What's the first thing you're taught when you've got the sort of batting manual in front of you and your coach goes, what do you have to do? Watch the ball from the bowler's hand. Do they say, watch the tongue?
but why is she doing it then? Like,
I think it's just a reaction.
No. It was like a deliberate, as she's running into bowl, tongue out, staring the batter down as Farrant in, and that's tried to be guided down to third man, but it goes through to Amy Jones's gloves. No run.
Maybe she's just G'ing herself up.
So you think it's a self thing? Maybe a signal to Amy Jones?
That could be it. Sometimes when you want to bowl a variation of a ball, you have different signals. We'll have to see if it comes out again then.
We need some close-up footage of Catherine's Brunt's face as she runs into bowl, but this is Farrant, and that's turned into the onside. Nicely by Halliday. Hands on heads from Farrant.
Yeah, just a little bit too straight there, and it meant that could be turned away by Halliday without any danger. And Farrant perhaps knowing that she just erred a little bit in line, and it's good length delivery. And remember that they only need to get 3.5 per over, so when you concede a run like that, it's an irritant because it keeps them at the required rate.
Green then on 49. In comes Farrant. That's a nice way to get to your 50. That's pulled into the onside. Wyatt comes round. They're going to come back for a couple. And Maddie Green gets a 50. She'll be 51 not out of 80 balls, and that's a really important and timely and good knock from her.
Absolutely it is. So her maiden 50 against a top 8 side. It's been a long time coming. She's played 35 ODIs, but this one is a very important one because it means that the batters, the big name batters that have come before her, they haven't managed it yet. It's the first 50 of this match as well. In a low-scoring affair, well, you'd imagine that's the difference. So now it's for her, it's a case of resetting. Halliday is partnering her really nicely, and they're very much at the required rate.
They certainly are. So 16 overs remain, 57 needed to win. And Kate Cross in from the Bennett end to the left-handed Halliday, and that's pushed into the offside nicely, beating backward point will be a single. Sophia Dunkley out there sweeping the boundary rope as she does. 1, 2, 3 for 4. Halliday moves to 17. What's it? 1, 2, 3 never won a game.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's a nice looking scoreboard. From an England perspective, hopefully it is 1, 2, 3 never won a game, but they need wickets quickly as Cross in. That's driven sweetly down the ground by Maddie Green. That's going to race away for 4, and Green now moves to 55. 127 for 4.
Lovely shot. We just saw her wagon wheel pop up on the big screen, and it showed that it's full of drives, full of cover drives. She's played that shot so well, leaning into the ball. Not too much power, not too much bottom hand.
Just pure timing.
Yeah, we've seen that, and that worked on this outfield.
Cross in again, bowls, and that's turned into the leg side. Great batting by Maddie Green. She comes through for a single. She'll move to 56. They only need 3.5 and over, and they've got 5 already.
Yep. So then it's a case of, I mean, at this stage in the over, anything else is a bonus, isn't it? So you don't do anything too expansive, nothing too risky. Just happy to tick it on as is.
128 for 4 cross in, and that's driven nicely, but Dean does a tumbling stop, an extra cover. Dot ball. Needed dot ball. But if England do get this 5th wicket here, whoever or either of these two that come out, obviously they've got Katie Martin, they bought Hayley Jensen in the side to bolster their batting, but they haven't, that lower order hasn't been able to get New Zealand over the line yet as Cross comes in again, and that's cut into the offside, again a dot ball. They've still got runs to get.
Oh, absolutely. From a psychological perspective, you think that's right. England are right back in it. I mean, from a sort of statistical and sort of purely batting perspective, they've got that on the paper. Hayley Jensen, as you say, coming in, shores up that batting lineup. But with England, you just think, right, this is how we can get under their skin from a mental perspective.
1 ball remains then. That's a 35th over as Cross in. She backs away, pushes into the offside to the cover sweeper. They come through for a single. Halliday moves to 18, 129 for 4. And Isabel Westreat leaves us, and Georgia Elwys, England international, would be joining us, an England international all-rounder. And from a bowling perspective, Georgia, what would you be looking to do here?
Oh, it's difficult, isn't it? You're torn between trying to take the wicket, trying to be aggressive, but also try and be tight on the runs, not leak too many runs here. So England have got to find the balance, and Moran is coming to join me, and I think if they can sneak a couple here, it'll keep them interested, but New Zealand look like they're seeing this off with ease at the moment.
They do. England really could do with a breakthrough. Here comes Tash Farrant then running away from us and swinging across the line is Brooke Halliday, and round the corner and possibly for 4 runs it is. 4 runs that for a while looked unlikely, as in pursuit Sophia Dunkley seemed to have the legs to get there, but the ball just about getting to that boundary. So another 4 runs to New Zealand, who are 133 for 4.
Yeah, it's that balance, isn't it, between searching for the wickets and keeping it tight, and unfortunately with that ball it's a little bit too short and punished.
Halliday onto 22, Farrant bowl, that's a better looking line and length. Pushed back towards the bowler, and the score remains at 133 for 4. Lovely colours in the sky to our right.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, I tell you what.
Shame it's behind those trees, really.
And you know that we can't just appreciate that. We've got work to do. This is outside the off stump. It's in the air, but it's going to beat the fielder at cover. It was one of those where almost the worst ball that Tash Farrant has bowled all day is the one that gets to the wicket, but it does go to the boundary. 135 for 4. And the boundary fielder, I should say. How often does that happen? Always the way.
Full tosses and half trackers. They've taken the majority of wickets this season.
Farrant moving in again. Past the umpire, round the wicket. That's nicely played by Maddie Green into the offside, picking up 1. And the score 135 for 4. I managed, when I sat down, my leg got trapped in the chair and I managed to lower myself. You know, a bit like when you're at the hairdresser and then you sort of find yourself getting lowered and like in a sort of elevator. I did the same and suddenly the whole ground went out of view. But I'm back up now. Here comes Farrant bowling a slower ball. It's chopped away out to deep cover. There's a lot of work to do for that fielder Wyatt in the deep, who will pick up just in front of the cover boundary, but not before a couple of runs have been taken. And the score moves forward, 137 for 4.
Yeah, you're very tall now, actually.
See,
I feel like I have to...
There's a little lever underneath.
Oh, yeah.
And because we've spent all... See?
Oh.
Look at this height. Look at the elevation. Phil Long's looking at us with envy from next door. In comes Farrant. Very full, and it's well defended into the leg side from Brooke Halliday. And the end of an over that sees another wicketless set of 6 as Farrant receives a jumper from the substitute fielder Maya Bouchier. England, well, they need something pretty urgently here, Georgia.
Yeah, and they need something really special here. They need a cluster of wickets to fall quickly. 42 from 84 balls for New Zealand with 2 set batters, you have to say, and it all looks a little bit too easy for them at the moment.
Well, it does, and England haven't quite been able to cause the sort of problems that New Zealand did. Where I mean, it's very easy to look at a scorecard and say, well, all those players that got out cheaply, but where did this go wrong for England?
I think that opening spell from Leah Tahuhu was just fantastic, wasn't it? Blasted through the top order of England, and they never really recovered. I think 178 was never going to be a big enough total, and when you're only chasing that, you can pace your innings, and that's the beauty of batting second. When you know what you have to get, you can pace your innings accordingly, and they know they don't have to take too many risks, and it just looks out of reach for England at the moment.
Eccleston at the far end of the ground, trying to get that game within reach, England. This is in the air, but past that fielder at cover, it'll run out towards the boundary. A long chase for Danielle Wyatt, who does pick up in front of that scoreboard. The patches of grass just in front of those electronic advertising hoardings illuminated as the sun sets. The players' shadows now coming from the 4 floodlights overhead. And Eccleston emerges from behind umpire Sue Redfern to bowl to the right-handed Green, forward in defence. Some thinking to do for the England captain Heather Knight, who's turned to her top bowler, who's only actually got one over after this to try and get a wicket. Eccleston in once more. Maddie Green on strike. That's down the leg side. It'll beat the keeper. Wides down to the boundary, and that's 5 more onto the score.
Difficult, isn't it? Sophie Eccleston, you can see what she's trying to do here. She's trying to keep it really tight and into the pads, but just straying and a little bit too far for Amy Jones. She's magnificent behind the stumps, but even that was a little bit too far. Too much work for her to have to do, and 5 more runs for New Zealand.
And the 50 partnership between Maddie Green and Brooke Halliday comes in good time as well. They've moved along quickly here. Eccleston in. And defensively pushing is Maddie Green. And they can go at their own pace, really, here, because they've got all the time. They need a further... Well, I've made the frightful mistake of saying how many more runs they need without that information being readily to hand. Me having to do some mental arithmetic. This is pushed into the offside and stopped in the covers. Phil Long, save me.
Further 35.
Thank you very much indeed. 35 runs to win, and they've got over 13 overs to do it, so time is not an issue. Eccleston with 2 balls left of this over. Umpire Redfern directing traffic. Tells Eccleston to go. It's punched into the offside, and a misfield in the covers from Charlie Dean will allow them through for a single.
Yeah, it's a situation when you're batting this where you don't really need to look at the scoreboard, because you can just bat now. Maddie Green's well set there on 60. I think she's played really nicely today, and they don't have to worry too much about, there's no scoreboard pressure really, is there? And they can literally just play each ball as it comes and take the runs, and that should see them home.
Eccleston over the wicket to bowl to the left-handed Halliday, who defends up as far as mid-on. And Sophie Eccleston's 9th over sees her figures are currently none for 39, so she's been reasonably economical at 4.3 and over, but she hasn't got the wicket that England have come to expect, really.
It's not often you see Sophie Eccleston bowl a spell without taking a wicket. She's still got the 1 over to change that, but I think she's so good that teams look at her and almost take her as the bowler that they're not going to take any risks against, and just play her for as many as they can, but without taking too many risks and without being too aggressive against her, and that's perhaps why she's not got the wickets tonight.
Farrant will continue round the wicket from the pavilion end. This is pushed away past the fielder at short cover Heather Knight and out towards Sophia Dunkley, as we see a lady in a brown jacket going to order some drinks from the bar to our left.
Lovely, I'm jealous.
I know. I think we have got a cup of tea coming. I think. In comes Farrant. Left arm over and almost getting through. Just shuffling to the leg side was Brooke Halliday, exposing the stumps. But the delivery is pushed away defensively. There's a hush around Grace Road, which I don't think has ever looked better, Phil Long. You know these parts very well. It looks magnificent.
No, I think if you were sat on that side looking at that sunset with this game in front of you, you'd think life was perfect.
Farrant bowls and gets right through. There's the wicket. Halliday goes full and straight from Tash Farrant, and she strikes for the first time in this game. New Zealand's women 146 for 5 now.
Yeah, again, full and straight. Good bowling there from Tash Farrant. Seemed innocuous, really. Seemed like a delivery that Brooke Halliday could have driven down the ground, and don't know whether it's nipped back and just taken that leg stump and England back in it, maybe.
And the DJ, well, I don't know if the DJ was expecting to be in the bar already by now, but appears to have put on the playlist at it's the sort of post 11 o'clock at the wedding numbers. Still quite a sort of heavy bass booming around the ground. But England have got the breakthrough they were looking for, 146 for 5. And though it is only a further 33 runs for victory, it's amazing how quickly 33 runs can sort of stretch out when a wicket breaks a partnership.
Yeah, certainly. England will feel, maybe that's why the DJ's playing this music, to get England up and about, but they'll feel like if they can get another one here, another 2, they're really in this, and they can ramp the pressure up. At the moment, before that wicket was all too easy for New Zealand, and just an opening here is an end of a new batter, and England will go on the attack here.
And as we've seen time and again in this game, just straight bowling has got wickets.
Remarkable, isn't it?
And it's funny, in all forms of the game, there is always a place for just bowling at the stumps.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's harder to do than you think.
I absolutely appreciate that. Here comes Farrant round the wicket to the new bat. Martin, who's beaten past the outside edge and played tentatively towards it.
Dash Farrant's follow through's just got 5 steps long, hasn't it? She's finished in the face of Katie Martin there, letting her know that she's up and about and she's in this battle.
Yeah, 15 wickets have fallen today. 14 of them, there's a run out, so 14 to the fielding team. There have been 10 that have either been LBW or bowled.
Farrant bowls onto the pads. Easy pickings for Katie Martin to get up and running as it's played out to square leg. England won't necessarily mind too much, provided that the final ball of this over doesn't yield a single, because it would lead to Katie Martin being on strike against Eccleston. Oh, tea's been delivered, Georgia.
Thanks, Amber.
In comes Farrant around the wicket. It's straight again, driven up as far as Cross, who's a good fielder at mid-off and prevents the single. So the over comes to an end, 2 from it and the wicket. And we are going to see, I presume, Eccleston finishing her spell. We'll wait and have another look, but New Zealand need 32 from 72 to claim a victory that would see the series back in the balance. It's a game, if England win, they win the series, but not if they lose.
Yeah, this is a part of the game where I really admire the captain's mathematical skills, because she needs to really juggle her bowlers now to make sure that she's got the right bowlers bowling at the right time. She's searching for wickets. She wants Eccleston to bowl out here, but I think she might have one eye on bringing Catherine Brunt back on as well.
Well, it is going to be Eccleston to bowl to the right-handed Katie Martin. And a conversation is taking place between Knight and her bowler. Just trying to work out the plans. Fielders in a deep at backward square leg, mid-wicket and deep cover. Everyone else inside the circle. Eccleston in. Martin gets in a bit of a tangle. Appeal for LBW from Jones. Not so much Eccleston. And though there is the option of the review, I don't think England are that keen.
I think Eccleston's signalling there that she thinks it's going down the leg side. Oh, but they're going to have a look.
Right at the last. Umpire Sue Redfern signals the television.
I think you called it, Henry. Sophie Eccleston couldn't have looked any less interested, could she?
No. It's a fair delivery, we know that. And we're going to see on the big screen. Here we go. Ball tracking says that that ball, I'm pretty certain, is going down the leg side, isn't it?
Oh, I've got them all wrong up here tonight, so I'm not calling this. But pad first, no bat involved. I think you can see too much of off and middle stump there for it to be hitting leg.
This is, I think, yeah, umpires call even for impact and then missing the leg stump. So Eccleston's initial reaction was the correct one, as I nearly sent a chair flying. Yeah, calm down, everybody. It's this high chair, I had to stand up. Nearly measured my length. 147 for 5, Eccleston round the wicket. Still looking for that first breakthrough of her day. She bowls to Martin, dabs into the offside. That's a good bit of placement to allow 1 run. They'll turn for the second, and in the end, Maddie Green content with keeping that strike. She's faced more of the deliveries than anyone facing Sophie Eccleston, and she's content with facing the remaining 4. Another wicket now makes things interesting.
Yeah, especially if it's Maddie Green. Unfortunately for England now, they've lost both of their reviews, so let's hope that doesn't come back to bite them.
It's a quicker ball from Eccleston, really. A lot quicker, arm whirling over. Played into the leg side for 1. And New Zealand now within 30 of a victory. And Phil, remind us how long it's been since an ODI victory for New Zealand on these shores?
On these shores, it was here at the Race Road. They've lost 8 consecutive games. It was 3 years ago since they won on the road.
Eccleston bowls and gets through. Martin goes, and there is a wicket for Sophie Eccleston. It was full, missed. It's not the big wicket England were looking for, but it is another. And this game just has a little bit of life left in it. Martin bowled for 2.
Oh dear. full ball, a straight ball. I think really she should have done better with that. He knows Eccleston's bringing it in with the angle, and just opened up the door for England. England will believe now. They know what's happened to New Zealand in this series, and haven't got a great record over their last 17 ODIs. And I think England will be up and about now, lots of energy going into this last 10 or 11 overs.
Hayley Jensen comes to the middle, an average in ODIs of 14. She's played a fair amount of cricket. This is her 21st one-day international, but this is quite a pressured situation. Series on the line, or at least keeping the series going on the line. And still 30 runs to get. Maddie Green's got 62 not out. Eccleston will be bowled out at the end of this over, but England will still believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking the mindset of Hayley Jensen, I think, will be really important here. She's not been involved in the first 2 ODIs, so she perhaps doesn't have the same demons with the batting collapses that those who have played in those games might have. And if she's really busy and she keeps her intent here, then that's the way she needs to go about it. She can't get stuck on the crease and be thinking, negatively about this innings.
Eccleston in, round the wicket. And forward confidently as Jensen in defence. Eccleston, the world's number 1 T20 bowler, has just 1 ball left of her set of 10. She's got 1 for 41 so far. That sunset gets ever more beautiful to our right. Eccleston in, and half an appeal for LBW, but with no reviews. As soon as umpire Sue Redfern says no, nothing England can do. And indeed, that is what she says. 39 gone, 149 for 6. You can tell it's a good sunset, because every member of the team is rushing out to the balcony in front of us to take photos for their various social media feeds. I think Izzy's the artiest of us all.
Yeah, definitely. She'll have some filters on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sophie Eccleston bowled out 10 overs, no maidens, 1 for 41 here today.
He said you can't keep her out of the game, can you? He said she hadn't got a wicket, but still had 6 balls to turn that around, and she did in her last over. Picked up that vital wicket for England, and I think now the plan's going to be spread the field when Maddie Green's on strike and try and bowl at Hayley Jensen at the other end.
Well, that's what England are doing. We've got Charlie Dean bowling to Green, with that field well spread out, and we've got to get a picture of this. Look at that sunset. I'll tell you what, we'll stick it on the social media on Test Match Special, because it really is a thing of beauty out there this evening. And we've got a good game possibly building up here. It's Green on strike on 62, 30 needed for the win for New Zealand, as Charlie Dean bowls a straight delivery that's played into the offside. England will be very happy to see a single taken.
Yeah, definitely. Mindset of Maddie Green now as well will be an interesting thing. She'll know she needs to bat through.
Dean to Green. It's tossed up, it's back at the bowler. This is a quite nice position for Charlie Dean to be bowling, because she knows the pressure's really all on the batter.
Yeah, and I think she relishes it. Challenge Charlie Dean. She doesn't look like someone who's phased particularly by international cricket.
In now, right arm over, clipped up towards long on for a single. That's well played by Green. She brings Jensen onto strike, and New Zealand bring up the 150. It's come midway through the 40th over, and their target 179. They're 6 down, so this is well in hand for New Zealand, no question. But another wicket will just make this a little awkward. Charlie Dean to bowl to Hayley Jensen, deep in the crease, playing the ball into space in the leg side, and there is no run. So one from the over so far.
I think Jensen's quite an aggressive player by nature as well. I mentioned that she's opened the batting in T20s recently.
She's on strike now, and she's beaten by a beauty. Goes through to the gloves of Amy Jones, and it was so close to the off stump.
Yeah, hands on her head there. Not sure how that's missed. That's missed the outside edge or indeed off stump, but lovely flighted delivery from Charlie Dean there. I attempt Jensen into a false shot.
Dean into bowl to Jensen once more. Final ball of the over. And deep in the crease, looking for that single, wants it, bit of a mix-up. Maddie Green, understandably, wants to keep that strike, and will do so. It is the end of the over, 40 gone, 150 for 6 is the score. New Zealand's women need 179 for victory. After some more from you, Georgia Ellis, it will be Alison Mitchell.
Yeah, you can sense that something's going to happen in this game. The crowd are clapping the dot balls, they're getting really behind England, and you sense that one more wicket here, and could the unthinkable happen again for New Zealand? Could they mess up another run chase in this series? You think while Maddie Green is still at the crease, it's all a formality for them, but Catherine Brunt's coming back into the attack now. The night giving the ball to her most experienced bowler, best bowler on the night, and let's see if she can do something here.
Hi George, evening everyone. 29 off 60. Catherine Brunt has got 2 overs left. Can she use these to good effect to really put the foot down against New Zealand and give them the genuine jitters here, because they will feel them. It's only 29 runs. So many balls to get those runs in. But Brunt then, the pink night sky away to our right as she's in now, and it's worked a little awkwardly by Green into the onside and straight to the fielder. No run. Brunt marching back to the end of her mark, full of bristling intent that you sense from her. 3 wickets already and a good 3 for 18 from her 8 overs so far. I've got to apologise, Georgia, because I have turned the lights on in the commentary box, which is a positive insofar as we can sort of see, notes and anything else, but it also might bring the crane flies directly in here. Brunt in again to Green. She's on 43 with the keeper standing up, clipped past a square leg umpire. I think fancied a little bit sort of inside edgy. It wasn't completely crisply played. That's why Brunt had sort of hand to her head as she walked back to her mark. A single, 151 for 6.
Yeah, I think it's sense if England can get Maddie Green out here, it's with 28 still more to get. They're really in this game. I think they're going to attack Hayley Jensen at the other end and try and open that end up and get the wickets at this end.
That's Jensen, who is yet to score. Brunt steaming in now, middle stump. She's turned it around the corner down to fine leg. Winfield Hill is there, moves in off the boundary. A single is added. They can gently rotate the strike. If they can do this, they will get there and get there comfortably. So all the onus is on England to force the wicket, find these breakthroughs.
Yeah, it's about, I think for the New Zealand batters now, it's about absorbing this pressure. There is a little bit building. England have bowled well for the last 4 or 5 overs and got breakthrough, so they just need to absorb pressure, rotate the strike, and they should be fine.
Let's see if Brunt has something to say about it. Full with bat and pad. Amy Jones sprinting away to her left-hand side from behind the stumps to field. And scampered one. Tammy Beaumont moving in over the stumps to gather the ball. So 152 for 6. He's ticking things over in this Brunt over so far. Jensen off the mark and Maddie Green 64 not out. The sky's beautiful. It's behind us here into the right-hand side. It's sort of burning ever more reddish orange. It was a beautiful lilac hue earlier, but the rest of the sky is darkening and that is burning bright. Now Sophia Dunkley is being called up from deep mid-wicket up to square leg as Brunt has her sights on Jensen. It's coming to the side for this match. Bowling full, really targeting those stumps. She gets forward, Jensen defends and Brunt fields off her own bowling. Very careful there. She did what I'd call, well, she would do the sort of pickup that I would do if I had a sore back. She absolutely squatted rather than bending down low. I'd say she looked every inch of her 36 years now, but she absolutely squatted to pick up that ball.
But 36 years young.
Exactly. She has put that body and that back on the line so many times. Racing in now, New Zealand 153 for 6. Struck on the body. It was angled a little down leg side. She got something wide signalled, and it was sliding down leg. She knew that signal was going to come. Amy Jones wasn't able to take it quite cleanly behind the stumps. Spilt away to her left-hand side. Well, that just helps New Zealand along a bit with the single, but can Brunt get another breakthrough?
You can't tell if she's disappointed that she's bowled a wide or if she's disappointed because she thinks it's hit Jensen on the way through, can you? She's such a character. She's absolutely everything for this team.
Wears her heart on her sleeve. Lets you know exactly her emotions. Bounding in now, and this is bat and pad. She comes forward and Brunt fields off her own bowling. She slides away to her right hand side, gathers the ball, doesn't let anyone else get there first. It's a dot ball to end the over, and as if she fought for that dot. You will not get a run off the last ball. 41 gone. So Green on 64, Jensen on 1, and another 25 more needed.
Yeah, 41 overs gone. The bowlers England have remaining. Kate Cross has 3 overs, Charlie Dean 2, Tash Farrant 3, Catherine Brunt's got 1 left. Sophie Eccleston has already bowled out her 10 overs.
Yep. Eccleston's 10. What did she go for, Phil? Her final figures?
Sophie Eccleston went for 1 for 41 from her 10 overs today.
It's going to be Charlie Dean continuing. She's picked up the wicket of Amy Satterthwaite earlier on under the bright floodlights of Grace Road, bowling to the established batter to Green, full flighted and driven down to long on. Along the ground, Winfield Hill is there to pick up. Comes back in on the bounce to Dean, 154 for 6, the 42nd over of New Zealand's run chase, chasing just 179. And you'd imagine that it could be a total that could have been golloped up. Flighted this time, one hand comes off the bat, it's aerial through the vacant cover region. Heather Knight's there at short extra. It was well wide of her. Sophia Dunkley fields in the deep, and another one's taken. 156 for 6. What do you think the most likely wicket might be?
I'd love to see a traditional off-spinner's wicket bowled through the gate.
Dean in, straight back working this down to long on once more. Winfield Hill there to field.
She's just been a little bit full this over, I think, Charlie Dean, and it's allowed batters to just drive the ball down the ground. She just pull that length back slightly, draw the false shot, and maybe sneak one through.
8 overs left after this. Dean in, going back this time. Worked into the onside. No run. They build pressure. Got to find some dots. Find a wicket. Green's got to stay calm. Take New Zealand home here. Now stuck on the pad. Tickled it into the leg side. It's only really a half appeal from Dean.
Yeah, and no reviews for England left, so no chance of going upstairs, but I think that looked like it was going down leg side anyway.
Last ball of the over. Dean over the wicket now to Jensen, striking it at the thickish outside edge, but out to the deep backward point. It was low in the air, but then bouncing well in front of Tammy Beaumont to end the over. George Ellis is making way. 157 for 6, another 22 runs that New Zealand need to tick off to get their first win of the series. And a first win in quite some time. Phil, we were talking about their record earlier. If New Zealand get this, it would only be, their second ODI win in 18 games?
That's right, yeah, they've won their last one in 17. Their last win away from home came here 3 years ago when Sophie Devine saw them home in the last game of the series against England.
Incredible weight that they have had to try and get a victory away from home. They've got every chance here. 22 from 48 balls, 4 wickets in hand. It's got to keep calm, Alex Hartley.
They do indeed. They've got to keep calm and just keep taking the easy option as well, and not give your wicket away.
Maddie Green's on 66. She's played a fine hand. She first of all put on 72 with Satterthwaite, 50-run stand with Brooke Halliday, and she's still going. Brunt, this is her last over. Clipped off the legs. A foolish delivery on middle stump, just turned past the square leg umpire. Dunkley is in very quick from the deep mid-wicket boundary to field. So it takes another one off the target, down to 21. Getting ever closer, aren't they?
They are. It would take something disastrous for them to lose this game, but you never know with New Zealand. A couple of quick wickets and they could panic.
That's it. It's ordinarily a target of 179. You'd expect it to be a comfortably sort of a one-sided match. Not quite have that feel about it though, as Brunt is in, inside edge now. She's appealing for LBW, gets it! Immediately though, Jensen has reviewed. New Zealand still have reviews available. And my instinct was that it had come off an inside edge. Its ball squirted away down towards fine leg, and the speed at which Jensen asked for the review suggested that it did.
Yeah, you know as a batter as well if you've hit it, and she was running up the other end and reviewed it almost straight away. So as soon as umpire Sue's finger went up, she gave the review sign, so all indications that she's hit it.
Scrambled scene from Brunt, yet inside edge by that replay. Inside edge.
I mean, she's absolutely smashed it, hasn't she?
I think she's nutmegged herself. Inside edge between the legs.
It's a poor decision, that, from the umpire.
Thump of the gloves between two New Zealand batters before the decision is even confirmed.
And that just shows how important it is to have DRS in these games, because a decision like that could change the game.
The umpire, I think, is looking to confirm that it was bat first. Because the ball squeezed between
tight.
inside edge and pad.
Yeah.
And they're looking if they can discern from the sideways on whether the ball is in fact squeezed from pad to bat and through the legs.
I think it's bat pad.
Now look at that thickness of it's a sort of broad spike, a thin spike, then a broad spike, which suggests a hard bat first.
I was with Alex. It looked like a howler, didn't it, when we first saw it? And now we're seeing it again, and it's tight. It's very close to whether it hits bat or pad first.
Well, this could go from a howler to a brilliant decision from umpire Sue within the space of seconds.
And then we'll take everything back. She presses forward defensively. Bat and pad are as tight together as they can be, but enough of a gap for the ball to squeeze through. Difficulty is, of course, the on-field decision given out. There's got to be enough evidence to overturn that. And with the naked eye,
I think she's hit
but then the pad is ahead of the bat, though, is it not? Oh, we've gone through to ball tracking, suggesting it is been judged as pad first. And it is out. Well, what do you know?
Well,
what do you know? There's the DRS. There is the snicko. I don't think Jensen is very impressed with that, but I mean, that had to be slowed down. It had to be reviewed numerous times. But well, Catherine Brunt in her last over gets another wicket.
And Alex Hartley and I have had an absolute howler.
We have had a howler. I'm just going to lower this chair.
You can sit back up. First instinct was that it flew off the inside edge. And we can say to Sue, well judged decision.
Yeah, great umpiring decision from Sue. I don't know what I was talking about.
Well, it's 158 for 7. And that does, I mean, it's not the set batter, it's not Maddie Green, but it's chipping away at the other end again. New Zealand are 21 runs away from their target, and England have got a new batter to target. It's going to be Leah Tahuhu, took a maiden ODI fifer earlier in the day. What can she do with the bat here? Can she get New Zealand over the line?
And Catherine Brunt has 4 for 22 to go with her 49 not out.
Oh, it's off to the fifer as well. How many balls has she got left?
4 balls left. She's having a great game, Catherine Brunt. Really showing her experience. She was brilliant with the bat. England were in real trouble when she came out. She showed her maturity, and then with the ball, she's been absolutely ruthless.
It's been a wonderful night for her so far, and she would just desperately want to finish this off. And it would be one of the most back-to-the-walls effort by England. First of all, Brunt rescuing them with the bat and giving her and the other bowlers just something to bowl at from a position of being 78 for 7. But here is Brunt then, 4 more balls, and she's got the new batter, Leah Tahuhu, to bowl to. It's going full, middle and leg, trying to whip it to square leg. Dunkley's there to field, no run.
Well, England really putting the pressure on Tahuhu here. Only got a third man and a fine leg outside of the ring. Everyone else is hunting. They're inside that fielding circle.
It's what's needed, isn't it? Make the new batter feel under pressure. Try and, again, that psychology of making them feel like, no, we're on top now, actually. You've only got 3 wickets in hand, even though you're so close to the target, only 21 runs away. Brunt runs in now to Tahuhu. Plays it from in front of middle, and it's a crowd catch. It's a crowd catch to Heather Knight on the edge of the circle. Almost did for me then as well.
Well, that was Heather. She played on that. She chucked it in the air like she'd caught it.
Well done, Heather. She's clapping herself, clapping the crowd, I think, for that one.
Tapping herself on the back, saying 1-0 to Heather Knight.
158 for 7. 2 more balls here for Catherine Brunt. It will close out her spell. 4 wickets so far. Bounding in now to Tahuhu, misses. Playing a miss outside the off stump into the gloves of Amy Jones. Wasn't far away from the off stump.
Not far at all. Catherine Brunt, arms in the air. She thought she bowled an off cutter there. Thought she might have had a little snick as well. But Tahuhu, she's got 1 ball here from Catherine Brunt to survive.
If you're Brunt, what do you do? Do you go pace, Yorker? Do you take the pace off? Another cutter?
I think another cutter from Catherine Brunt. She bowls them so brilliantly, deceives the batter.
Sophia Dunkley's gone back to deep mid-wicket. Protection on the cover boundary. Last ball of Catherine Brunt's spell here. And she targeted middle and off. And it's been stroked out to Heather Knight, kept out. And Catherine Brunt gets a high five and a pat on the back from her captain Heather Knight and from Amy Jones. What a spell that is. At 10 overs, she's taken 4 for 22 on the back of an unbeaten 49 earlier. So great night for Brunt, but it will only be capped off if the other bowlers can chip in and take these last 3 New Zealand wickets now.
Yeah, she's had a brilliant game, Catherine Brunt. That 4 for 22 and 49 not out with the bat. She's been brilliant. She is like a fine wine, isn't she?
Yeah, in this series, in the opening game, she took 1 for 22. There were those 4 maidens, of course, early on in her bowling. She scored 43. Today, 49 not out, 4 for 22 off 10. And, of course, she was rested from that middle game. Probably shows why she was rested. She's so vital to England these days.
Yeah.
Her night's done as well, isn't it, Alex? She's being subbed off. She's done for the night. Bowled her 10, 49 not out, and she's come off the field.
Don't blame her. Put your feet up, Brunty.
So, Dean continuing, stroking up to long on. Winfield Hill is there for New Zealand. They need another 20 runs to win. That is all. Who has come on for Brunt?
Maya Boucher.
Boucher's there, isn't she? Mid-wicket. So, be nice little evening for her. She can come on and take a catch, help win a game, substitute. Dean continuing now. Drilled along the ground to mid-off. It's fielded, it's a dot ball. Now, at the same point, England were 157, New Zealand 159, but also England were 9 down at this stage. It's very nip and tuck at the moment. Low-scoring game, low-scoring thriller, tossed up by Dean, playing a miss. Looking to stroke it out through the offside, into the gloves of Amy Jones. A little edge there, that's what Dean was hoping for.
Yeah, I think Tahuhu's job here is just to get Maddie Green on strike. You know, she's the set batter, she's the one 68 not out.
Dean in again, floats one up, chipped into the onside. Maya Boucher is there, straight on the field and into the action. Little juggle, sends the ball back to Dean. In the 44th over of the New Zealand run chase, the target only 179. England made it very difficult for them. Dean in, drilled out the extra cover, misfield from Knight. Got a hand to it, took a bit of pace off it. They're able to take one as Dunkley moves in from the deep to field. And so now New Zealand need less than 20. Sorry, they do need 20 from 30. No, it is. The scoreboard's catching up. They need another 19. I was right the first time.
Back yourself, Ali.
This is when I just start writing it down. Dean, full flighted tonight at extra cover and ends the over from Charlie Dean. So 6 overs left, only 19 runs to get it. Sort of feels like it should be a simple equation, but it's felt as if it should be like that all innings, and it hasn't been for New Zealand.
Yeah, Charlie Dean's bowled out now. She's taken 1 for 38 today from her 10 overs.
It's one of those nights where every bowler seems to have been economical. There's only been a small total for New Zealand's chase, but they've struggled. You know, England have bowled really well. Their bowlers have bowled fantastically. We're going to see Kate Cross brought back into the attack. Dean, Brunt and Eccleston all bowled out. So the pressure now is on Kate Cross and Tash Farrant. Can they close out this innings?
That's why you do fast bowling, isn't it? To bowl at the death, to bowl with the pressures on, when there's a game to be won. I have a feeling that Kate Cross relished the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. She famously bowled the last over a T20 in India and defended 3. So she can bowl at the death. She is a good death bowler. I mean, that was an incredible game of cricket to be part of. Almost one that you thought India had won.
Yeah. Here she is now then. She's racing in to Tahuhu, looking for a Yorker length ball. Strikes her on the boot. Outside the line of the stumps, I fancy. The ball's run out to the offside. Jones moving across from behind the stumps to pick up. She was looking to whip it away. Seared in by Cross. 19 needed off these last 6 overs. Are there still wasps in the commentary box?
There was a fly that landed on my head there. I did well not to panic.
Did say, I'm not sure that's a good idea. They've got the lights on in here or not, given the creatures that are flying through the night. Goes Cross. This is launched high and long over the head of Boucher at mid-off. Drops in front of the ground, spins over the rope for 4. Well, we haven't seen a boundary for a little while. New Zealand could gobble this up if there's a few more of those, and that's the problem for England. They don't have enough runs to play with.
Yeah, and Tahuhu bats in one way and one way only. She's aggressive. She likes to hit the ball hard. So that's what she's going to do. She's really going to try and find the boundary for New Zealand and win this game as soon as possible for them.
Yeah, the first boundary in 9 overs there.
Only 15 needed now. Cross in again. That's squirted away off it. Inside edge down to fine leg. Dribbling away towards the boundary. Just a single taken. Winfield Hill sends the ball back into the middle. 14 needed.
Off the pads of Tahuhu, that one.
165 for 7. 3 more balls here in this over from Kate Cross. Boundary. A leg by so far. 3 inside the ring on the offside, 2 on the on. Crosses in slower ball, full. It's been dug out to Heather Knight at short extra. And to stroke it down the ground again, Maddie Green, who is 68 not out. It's been a tremendous, stoical innings from her, but again, New Zealand, the face of such a small total, have made heavy weather of this. Cross is in, dug out once more, and as far as mid-on, well bowled. Another dot ball.
You can almost sense with every dot ball comes a little bit of added pressure for New Zealand. Yes, they only need 14, but stranger things have happened.
That's right, with 14 with 3 wickets in hand. The number of balls that's fully in New Zealand's favour. But the regularity with which wickets have been falling and New Zealand's frailties within England's, it's behind point this one goes, and Green through for a single, fielded in the deep down by the boundary. The end of the over from Kate Cross, so 5 overs left, 13 runs needed. Only 3 wickets in hand though. It does feel tense. New Zealand, when you look at that equation, just 13, but the tension is rippling round Grace Road ground. Alex Hartley, World Cup winner, a few more words from you. Henry Moran is joining you to see how this match finishes.
And he looks very excited as well for the last 5 overs of the game, does Henry Moran. But yeah, we're going to see Tash Farrant come on from this end. New Zealand need 13 to win. England have put up such a brilliant fight throughout this innings. It was always one of those where you thought New Zealand should just chase this down within 35 overs or so, but they haven't done. England have bowled brilliantly. Hello, Henry.
Hey, how are you?
It's our first stint for a while.
It's been ages, isn't it? Are we going to see something amazing? 13 to win? Probably not, but maybe. Green is on strike. She's on to 69. Here comes Farrant onto the pads. 1 more onto the total. Played into the leg side. I'll think about 2, but not there. 1, 6, 7 for 7 now. And so it is 12 to win.
England put all their eggs in one basket, didn't they? And bowled out Brunt, Eccleston, Dean. They've all gone, so it's down to Cross and Farrant to try and do something special.
And those 2 bowlers, they're sort of the quite expensive but take your wicket kind of bowlers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
As Farrant comes round the wicket to bowl to Leah Tahuhu. It's full, it's straight, it's in the air. Will it clear the fielder? Yes, it's going to go down the ground, 1 bounce and 4. Well, that's a big stride towards victory for New Zealand. Lauren Winfield Hill down below us was never in the game with that one. That's a good looking shot.
Yeah, I said just a minute ago there's only one way Tahuhu bats, and that's to take on the bowlers, to swing and to swing hard, and that's exactly what they needed to do to try and finish this game ASAP.
And now it's just 8 runs to win for New Zealand. Farrant round the wicket. This is a slower ball, cut away for 4. In front of square and racing to the ropes.
Well, with that 4 that Tahuhu just hit over the top, brought a change of field. England decided to squeeze, bring cover up, try and get the wicket of Tahuhu, and she was able to slap that through the covers for 4. And this is New Zealand's game now, and it keeps the series alive.
It does. We still have over 4 overs left in this game. New Zealand just need a further 4 runs for victory. 3 wickets in hand. It's full dugout defensively.
She was looking for that whip through the covers again, but it was too full for Tahuhu. Now, you always feel for the bowlers in this situation, because Tash Farrant coming on to bowl has gone for 2-4. She's bowling in a lose-lose cause, especially if this over finishes now.
Hit down the ground. This could be the moment. It's full and punished. 6 runs down the ground to win the match in the finest fashion. And what a good victory that is for New Zealand. Finally, their performance with the ball has been matched with a performance with the bat, and they've quite comfortably chased down a target of 179. Tahuhu smacking that ball for 6 to ensure victory and keep this series alive.
Yeah, they've been brilliant today, New Zealand. They put the pressure on England from the toss, really. They said they were going to bowl because they bowled England out in the previous games, and they did exactly that today. Bowled England out, put England under so much pressure, and then they were just able to just take their time with the bat. I mean, England getting the win in the second ODI, they stole that win, really. If you think back, the series should be 2-1 to New Zealand, but it's not. It's 2-1 to England. Keeps the series alive. We've still got 2 games to play. It just gives New Zealand a little bit of hope, that win.
Lovely shot from Tahuhu to finish it. Held the shape as well.
Just for the camera.
A perfect day, really,
that.
for Leah Tahuhu. 5 wickets, her best ODI bowling figures, and a big 6 to win it at the end. And New Zealand have won this game, has to be said, comprehensively. For England, having lost by 3 wickets with 25 balls remaining, I feel quite a lot to think about.
Well, you said Lisa would have wanted England to lose earlier.
No, not quite what I said. What I actually said was that there would be certain elements of a bad batting performance not being dug out by good bowling that would be potentially beneficial to England. Yeah,
of course, and you reflect on games, and actually games like that where you get absolutely hammered, you learn the most. You know, as a batting unit, they're going to go away, they'll reflect on what's happened today, and they'll know that they've gone wrong. They've lost too many wickets in the power play, they haven't built too many partnerships, and it's a real chance now for the England batters to just reflect on what's happened today and regroup and go again Thursday.
Well, let's have a little look about how the match played out. And England again struggled and lost wickets at bad times, and a lot of them early on in this innings. We saw Tammy Beaumont falling for just 1, as did Lauren Winfield. Well, she fell for 4, I should say, but both out LBW to Leah Tahuhu. Heather Knight was caught behind off the same bowler for 6. Amy Jones and Sophia Dunkley built a little bit of momentum, but Dunkley was bowled by Tahuhu for 6 before Jones was bowled by the debutante Molly Penfold for her first international wicket. Jones out for 21. Danny Wyatt and Charlie Dean were then tasked with rebuilding things. Wyatt and Dean both making 10. Catherine Brunt, the standout performer with the bat for England, she made 49 not out. There was 8 for Sophie Eccleston. Kate Cross made 29 and Tash Farrand 12. So England 178 all out, and as I mentioned, Leah Tahuhu 5 for 37 from her 10 overs. In response, well, England got the early breakthrough they were looking for. Suzie Bates was out to Catherine Brunt bowled, and for just the 5 runs, and then Lauren Down continued to show a little bit of promise before being dismissed early once again. One lovely boundary, but she was caught by Tammy Beaumont off the bowling of Brunt for 7. It was Maddie Green that really held things together. She was 70 not out at the end. Amy Satterthwaite did a good job with 33. Devine made just 3. Brooke Halliday 25, and low scores for Katie Martin and Hayley Jensen, who both made 2. At the end there, Leah Tahuhu 19 from 15 deliveries with 3 4s, and then the only 6 of the innings was that big launch down the ground at the end. Key bowler for England, no doubt about it. 10 overs, 4 for 22 from Catherine Brunt, a wicket apiece for Farrand, Eccleston and Charlie Dean. So how will England reflect on this? Alex, what needs to be taken into the next game in 2 days' time?
I think they just need to go away and look at their batting performances. They've had collapse in all 3 ODIs that they've played so far, and they need to really find a way on how do you ride the wave of those tough periods. How do you get through those patches where play's going to be hard, but you've got to find a way of building a partnership with your mate at the other end, and trying to get a set batter. You know, England haven't had a set batter in that top 5 throughout this series, so one of them in the top 5 really needs to be there moving into the latter half of the innings, and it's just finding a way on how they do that, and as I said, riding through those tough passages of play. Indeed,
and England need to get their act together pretty quickly with the bat, because now 2 matches until the Ashes.
Yeah, which is mad, isn't it? So they had that tour to Pakistan, now that's been cancelled, so they've got 2 matches until they fly to Australia and play in that Ashes series, and then only 3 ODIs before they play in that World Cup.